The story opens with the desolate, ruinous scene of a devastated city. A young man with weary, dazed eyes looks around where dust clouds obscure the sky. My name is Chao Xiaoyang. I was just an ordinary university student. Because his roommate unplugged his charger, the alarm didn't go off. Rushing to school at 8 a.m., he had a traffic accident and was thrown 800 meters by the impact. He looked ahead with a disheartened gaze, bewildered to find that when he woke up, the whole world had changed. He had transmigrated into an apocalyptic world full of dangers. Before him was chaos. A crowd struggling to fight a giant octopus, its tentacles thrashing like deathly arms. A blond man leapt up, his sword flashing as he severed a writhing tentacle. Everyone thought victory was certain, but to their surprise, a new tentacle sprouted instantly where the one had been cut. Someone in the group yelled in panic. "Not good. This mutant can regenerate. What do we do?" Chao Xiaoyang stood at a distance, silently watching the horrific scene, his heart heavy as if crushed by a boulder. At first he had thought himself fate's favorite, chosen to shine like a novel's protagonist, roaming and achieving miracles. But soon he realized things weren't as simple as he'd imagined. He began sinking into painful memories of past failures. The first time, he led survivors out of a zombie siege but was bitten and died. When he opened his eyes, he was back at the starting point. The second time, using experience from his previous life, he guided people past the zombies but died of starvation from lack of supplies. The third time, he disguised himself as someone bitten by zombies to forage for food but was shot in the head by the military. The fourth time, he finally awakened a supernatural ability and built a base, only to be betrayed by a trusted brother, leading to a tragic death. Then the fifth, sixth times, each time he died, he returned to the day he first arrived in this world. This was the ninth time. His hope was exhausted. All that remained was resignation. But fate wouldn't leave him be. He was forced to enlist and became a soldier in this brutal war. The situation was dire. The giant octopus's tentacles writhed like ghostly serpents, ready to snatch anyone's life. The group was weakening, unable to hold on. Those with strength fled. But what about Xiao Na? And the supplies? People in the safe base were counting on every scrap of food to survive. They couldn't hesitate. If they didn't run, everyone would die here. Xiao Na was wrapped tightly by a massive tentacle and couldn't escape. She could only scream, "Help me! Don't leave me here." The octopus lifted her up, preparing to swallow her. Xiao Na let out a piercing, desperate scream. Chao Xiaoyang stood below witnessing it, feeling a sense of indifference rising, like a broken jar that no longer feared another crack. He thought to himself that if he couldn't escape this wretched world, then at least this time before dying he wanted to do something worthwhile. He let out a long shout, and in a flash he lunged straight at the giant monster. Those fleeing turned and gaped in stunned amazement. What's that kid doing? Is he suicidal? Has he gone mad? He's running right into death. But Chao Xiaoyang paid no mind to the whispers. He raised his sword, his eyes burning with determination, and sliced two tentacles in half. Xiao Na was freed and fell to the ground with a thud. She trembled and moved, said, "Thank you for saving me. You're very brave." Chao Xiaoyang had no time to pay attention to her. He coldly replied, "Get out," then immediately dashed off, leaving Xiao Na sitting there bewildered. His target was the grocery store behind the giant monster. Bursting inside, he was stunned by the uncanny silence. The precious goods remained intact on the shelves, like treasure on the line between life and death. Without hesitation, Chao Xiaoyang raided everything, from hamburgers to potato chips, devouring them as if he'd forgotten the world. Then he found a bottle of soda and couldn't contain his joy. "Finally I can drink." He took a swig of Coke. The refreshment felt like being reborn. Outside, the octopus raged over the lost prey. It snarled, its eyes blazing red, fixed on the person inside the grocery store. Chao Xiaoyang was absorbed in the bottle, unaware of the massive dark shadow silently closing in. A giant tentacle swayed behind him, ready to deliver a fatal blow. He sighed with relief, smiled, and felt no more regrets. As predicted, a second later his vision flooded with blood. Then his eyes opened. He was still lying in the grocery store, just as before he blacked out. He looked around, surprised, and blurted, "Why is it the same place as before? Haven't I returned to the starting point?" He hurriedly groped over his body, wondering, could it be I didn't die? Suddenly, a mechanical voice rang out from nowhere. "No, you died, but you're alive again."
Cao Xia Liang Yôn Tết.
"Who's speaking?" The system replied, "Congratulations, host. You have activated the system. I am your unlinked system. Code 2333. A sphere of light gradually appeared before him. Chao Xiaoliang stammered, "System." He rushed forward and hugged it tightly, tears and snot streaming. "Why are you only here now? I've waited until the flowers withered. Do you know how horribly I died?" He rubbed his face against the orb while bawling. "Give me a reasonable explanation, or I'll file a complaint against you." The system couldn't bear it and shot up into the air, murmuring, "Host, please calm down. The reason I'm late is because, there was a small incident." He pressed, "What happened?" The system dodged, glanced elsewhere, then said, "You may not believe it. The roommate system stole my charging cable, so the alarm couldn't ring." Chao Xiaoliang's mouth twitched. He raked his hair and replied, "No, I believe you. There's no point digging into it now." He immediately changed the subject. "Fine. Better late than never. Have you brought all the golden finger hacking gear?" The system replied crisply, "Of course." It presented a rolled paper bearing a map and lines of text. "But per procedure, let me read the mission to you. You are currently in an apocalyptic world. Your mission as host is to save this world and restore its peace. Complete the mission and you'll be resurrected in the real world. Fail and you'll be erased entirely." After explaining, it rolled the paper up. "You have a total of 10 chances. 9 have been wasted. This is the last one." Chao Xiaoliang couldn't help shouting, "You're saying I wasted them?" The system chuckled awkwardly. "Don't dwell on those details. Precisely because time is short, we must make the most of every precious moment." As the system finished, the space around them warped and twisted as if manipulated by an invisible hand, forming a teleportation gateway glittering with light. "Brave young man, prepare to receive your first mission." In an instant, Chao Xiaoliang appeared on a desolate street where houses lay in ruins, as if struck by an apocalyptic storm. The system's mechanical voice rang out again. "Today's first mission. Sell snacks to earn 50 crystals. You'll receive accumulation points to exchange for attributes, spatial area, and many other attractive rewards." Seeing this, Chao Xiaoliang ground his teeth in anger. He sprang up and shouted, "Who said my salvation has to hawk goods?" His shout echoed and drew the attention of nearby zombies. They all turned their milky eyes toward him. One of them was even gnawing on something that looked like the remains of a horrific meal. Panicked at the zombies about to lunge, Chao Xiaoliang stammered, speechless. "And another thing, did you pick this spot so they'd treat me like a snack?" His scream tore through the sky, but he had no mind for selling now, only knowing to run for his life as fast as he could. Chao Xiaoliang sprinted madly, trying to escape the zombies. The system asked, bewildered, "Host, why are you running?" He shouted back, "Nonsense. If I don't run, wait to be bitten." But no sooner had he said that than he suddenly froze, as if remembering something important. His eyes lit up and he said excitedly, "Right, I have a system now. What do I have to fear from these losers?" He straightened, hands on his hips, calling loudly, "Old 2. The system immediately reacted, annoyed, "Please call me number 2333. Chao Xiaoliang smiled dangerously, with a hint of self-satisfaction, clenching his fist. "All right, Old 2. What's my superpower? The agility of a leopard, the speed of an eagle, the strength of a bear. Show them all." An information panel suddenly appeared before his eyes. It read, Name, Chao Xiaoliang. Strength, unscored. Speed, unscored. Perception, unscored. Intelligence, 2. Storage space, unopened. Stall area, 2 square meters. A long list of stats all displayed the phrase unscored. Chao Xiaoliang pondered and muttered, "What does unscored mean?" The system replied casually, "It means the value is too low to meet the minimum scoring threshold. Your physical attributes are still at their initial state. To improve them, you need to earn accumulation points to exchange. He frowned. So basically, on my body only the brain is usable for now? Before he could think further, a zombie suddenly lunged at him. He screamed in panic and continued running for his life. While running, he yelled at the system, "You swindler! Didn't you say there's support software?" The system flew behind him, frowning, and answered, "The support software was given to you. There used to be a stall right in front of you, but you didn't cherish it. By the time it's gone, you'll regret it." Chao Xiaoliang froze. "You mean that torn piece of cloth?" The system snapped irritably. "What torn cloth? That's your upgrade item." Hearing that, he immediately spun and dashed back the way he'd come. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" He bent down and grabbed a rusty iron bar lying by the roadside, preparing to confront the charging zombies head-on. Without hesitation, Chao Xiaoliang swung the iron bar, striking the nearest zombie hard on the head. The closer he got to the cloth, the fiercer he struck. Suddenly, a zombie lunged straight for his thigh. He was slammed down, tumbling several times, and finally came to rest right on top of the cloth. The zombies seized the opportunity and charged in all at once. Faced with the desperate scene, Chao Xiaoliang gave a bitter smile. He hadn't expected to die so quickly. In terms of speed, it was truly record-breaking. His hand trembled as he clenched it, voice full of sorrow. Even seeing snacks no longer stirred his appetite. This might really be the end. But as he braced for the pain of the bite, a radiant light suddenly flared up. The zombies that touched the light immediately froze and stopped their attack. To his astonishment, they one by one withdrew, as if he had become invisible to them. Chao Xiaoliang cried out in astonishment. "What's going on? Are those zombies blind?" The system sighed, exasperated by his slow wit. "I told you it's the golden finger. Why are you only seeing a piece of cloth?" He excitedly picked up the cloth and inspected it. So it was protecting me. He couldn't help hugging it tight. My treasure. It's truly like a talisman and armor. Suddenly he remembered something and asked the system, "Right. Does this function only work on zombies? What about other mutated creatures?" The system replied, "This item can block all forms of attack. As long as you're within the stall area, nothing outside can harm you." Chao Xiaoliang's eyes widened. He sprang up with joy, humming and twirling as if about to dance. "I close my eyes, hold a stall in my hand. I am invincible." The system immediately cut through his daydream. "Don't celebrate too soon. The stall's blocking function can only be used 3 times per day. If you don't complete the mission within the allotted time, the function will expire. You have half an hour left before sunset." It continued, "After dark, zombies become more active. Hurry, host." Chao Xiaoliang sighed. "This place was just cleared by zombies. There's no one left. Who do you want me to open shop for?" Suddenly, a voice called from afar. "We're really lucky today. We grabbed a lot of stuff." 3 men who looked like they were part of the same group strolled up. The leader said, "Didn't expect this unexpected haul. Let's surprise the boss when we get home." The man beside him chimed in, "The boss will be so pleased he'll surely reward us." Chao Xiaoliang felt a quiet thrill. Customers have arrived. When the 3 men spotted him, he quickly arranged his goods on the cloth, looking professional like a real vendor. The 3 asked curiously, "What's that?" They scanned the stall. "Isn't that fruit candy? How did a place like this have that?" He beamed and replied, "The little shop doesn't only have fruit candy. There are potato chips, shrimp crackers, and soda. What would you like?" The 3 erupted as if they'd found treasure. "Potato chips, and beef jerky too. I haven't had soda in 3 years. I almost forgot what it tasted like." Chao Xiaoliang continued, "Little brother, today is my first day selling. If fate has brought you to me, no need for 998. No need for 98, just 50 crystals and all the snacks come home with you. How about it? Quite a deal, right?" The 3 suddenly fell silent, eyes flicking to one another, then burst into laughter. "This kid dares charge us? Don't tell me he's an idiot." The masked man lifted a bottle of coca, the other hand gripping a gun, and said in a deep voice, "I'm in a good mood today. Leave your stuff and go, or I'll let you taste a hot lead." Chao Xiaoliang frowned at them, then suddenly stepped forward, snatched the coca from the man's hand, and muttered, "Thought I'd found a savior. Turns out it was a waste of time." The masked man immediately aimed his gun straight at Chao Xiaoliang, murderous intent as sharp as a blade. "Kid, you're asking for death." A shot rang out, but at the same time Chao Xiaoliang's invisible shield activated. The bullet not only failed to hit him, the gun exploded in the man's hand. The blast dazed the masked man. Flinging his body several meters away, he collapsed unconscious. His companions panicked, eyes wide. What happened? Why did the gun go off prematurely? Is this kid someone with superpowers? The other man shook his head, voice trembling. "No way. I've never heard of such a strange superpower." Chao Xiaoliang paid no mind to their chatter. He happily bent down, pressed his face to the cloth, and kept exclaiming, "So real. My treasure can even reflect a bullet." The other two, seeing his foolish expression, couldn't help whispering, "He looks like an idiot." One of them spoke up, suspicious. "Tell us, who exactly are you? What are you trying to pull?" Chao Xiaoliang stretched the word out and replied, "Idiot. There are countless people with superpowers in this world, but only one chosen person." He rubbed his hands and grinned slyly. "So now, just spend 50 crystals and you can take home a pile of snacks, plus a free photo and autograph." The two men snarled in anger. "What chosen one? Do we look like 3-year-olds? It must be the gun malfunction. I'll beat you to death." Seeing their stubbornness, Chao Xiaoliang sighed helplessly. "Seriously, you didn't listen to anyone. Bringing this on yourselves." One of them threw a blazing punch at him, but unsurprisingly, the blow was stopped by the invisible shield. The recoil from the punch made the man clutch his arm and scream miserably, "Oh, my arm's broken." Witnessing his two comrades' misery, the remaining blonde man began to hesitate, his feet frozen as if nailed to the ground. Seeing him falter, the other two shouted, "What are you standing there for? Kill him." Chao Xiaoliang said nothing, only glared silently at the blonde man. His gaze was cold as a blade, making the man tremble with fear. He raised his hand. A blue spark of electricity crackled across his palm as he shouted. The blonde man startled, took a step back, then turned and fled like smoke. "This kid is a monster. I don't want to die." His two comrades were stunned by his cowardice and yelled in anger, "Don't leave us, you unfaithful bastard." Then the two said nothing more and ran with all their might to save their lives. Chao Xiaoliang called after them, "Don't run. I want to ask if there are any other people around." Suddenly, he noticed something strange, a burlap sack tossed on the ground, clearly belonging to the three men. He looked curiously. "What's this?" The mouth of the sack suddenly moved. He jumped and exclaimed, "It's moving!" Unable to contain his curiosity, he prodded the sack lightly a few times. "Is it some kind of animal?" Having said that, he carefully untied the cord. A living creature immediately leapt out of the sack. He watched, stunned, when he realized it was a woman. She had shimmering silver hair, like a waterfall glittering under the amber sunset. Her curves were alluring, slim waist, full chest, exuding an enchanting beauty. She turned her head and their eyes met. Chao Xiaoliang was dazed and blurted, "So beautiful!" But immediately the silver-haired woman glared, her pupils flashing with madness. She lunged at him like an arrow from a bow. Chao Xiaoliang panicked and ran. "Now's not the time to admire a beauty," he shouted hoarsely. "She's clearly a zombie." Her hand slammed down where he'd been standing, creating a terrifying shockwave that shook the ground. He nimbly dodged, escaping by a hair. Staring up at the monster in fear, he exclaimed, "What the? Zombies can be this fast." In his panic, his hand accidentally brushed against a black object on the ground. Without thinking, he hurled it hard toward her. The silver-haired woman raised her hand to catch it, and the tense chase continued. Thanks to his experience from before, Chao Xiaoliang ran straight back to his stall, urgently grabbed the precious cloth treasure. He quickly packed up the goods, muttering as he worked, "Damn, used up all 3 chances. If I'd known, I would have saved some. If I'm caught now, I'm done for." He intended to keep fleeing, but when he looked up, the silver-haired woman had flashed over his head and landed lightly in front of him. He startled, fell backward with a thud, scattering the food across the ground. The silver-haired woman glared, Her hand gathered energy, ready to deliver the finishing blow. Facing an unstoppable force, Chao Xiaoyang could only scream in desperation, "Don't come near!" Despite his fear, he kept picking up the fallen snack boxes and throwing them at her. Sure enough, this only made her angrier. He didn't give up. He grabbed another bag of snacks, threw it straight ahead without looking, and closed his eyes to await his fate. But after a while, nothing happened. He timidly peered open his eyes, and was astonished to see the silver-haired woman chewing dried squid contentedly. She swallowed with a gulp, her expression satisfied as if she'd savored a divine dish. Chao Xiaoyang gasped, "Does this zombie like dried squid?" After finishing, she crawled toward him, eyes glittering, drool at the corners of her mouth, seeming to crave more. He frantically groped the ground, inner panic screaming, "Oh no, no dried squid left. What do I do now?" Thinking fast, he murmured, "I wonder if she eats other things?" Clumsily, he grabbed a bag of biscuits, tore it open, and tossed a piece forward. She immediately opened her mouth and bit it, chewing and swallowing with satisfaction. He breathed a sigh of relief. "That's great." While tossing the biscuit, he backed up slowly, until he bumped against a deep crevice. From the fissure, a strange red light glowed from flowing molten lava below. Without hesitation, he threw the bag of biscuits into the chasm. The silver-haired woman immediately lunged after it without hesitation. Chao Xiaoyang stood above, wiped the sweat pouring down his face, and sighed in relief. Saved. After eating snacks, she can't eat me anymore. As he was about to leave, he suddenly noticed a glowing object on the ground. He picked it up and examined it. "This dagger is high quality." Then he exclaimed in surprise, "This is." On the dagger's hilt was engraved a yellow gear symbol. He immediately recognized it as the mark of the Jinglei Legion, the most notorious looting faction in the post-apocalyptic world. He recalled that their boss was an evolved being with tremendous power. Their followers were reckless, using numbers to pillage, so brazen they treated the army as nothing. Thinking of this, Chao Xiaoyang broke into a cold sweat. Were those three just now from them? No wonder they carried so many magazines. He put the dagger away, bent down, and picked up the sack that had held the silver-haired woman. "This bag isn't bad, sturdy enough. Keep it. It might be useful later." While picking it up, he accidentally opened the mouth of the sack and discovered another small pouch inside. Curiously, he murmured, "What's this? Let's open it." He was stunned to find the pouch full of glittering crystals. Talk about luck. He cried out excitedly, "These are crystals! So many, up to 50. He hugged the pouch to his chest like a treasure, overwhelmed with unexpected joy. He hadn't expected to finish the task so quickly. The system suddenly appeared and doused him with cold water. "These crystals were picked up by you, not earned from sales, so they don't count toward the stall's income." Chao Xiaoyang immediately objected. "Why wouldn't they count? Tell me, didn't that female zombie just eat dried squid and beef jerky? Aren't these crystals what she left behind?" The system, faced with this situation for the first time, faltered and didn't know how to reply. Although she was a zombie, Chao Xiaoyang paid no mind and kept arguing. "Your rules never said the customer must be human. With such narrow thinking, how can you grow strong and achieve great success?" Seeing the system remain silent, he flopped to the ground and pretended to cry. "Besides, it's dark now and I can't find anyone else. If you don't keep your promise and kill me, fine then." The system had no choice and muttered a curse. "Damn! Stuck in a bug." Then it declared loudly, "Congratulations, host. Mission completed." Points were awarded, the space opened, and the stall was upgraded. A splendid, grand cart appeared before his eyes, far beyond the torn cloth he started with. All the tools on the cart were clean and neatly arranged. Chao Xiaoyang stared, dumbfounded for a long moment. When he sobered up, he opened the notification panel to check. This was the legendary storage space, but inside there were only 4 items: rice, meat, and vegetables. He turned to the system and asked, "Is that all? I've seen other people's spaces with all kinds of medicine, weapons, even planes and cannons." The system sneered, "We're a stall system, not an armory. You're not even out of the village yet. What are you asking for, a bicycle?" Chao Xiaoyang muttered, stuck, then asked, "What can I exchange these points for?" The system replied, "A catalog of goods and value attributes. However, with your current points, space usage is minimal, so the only items available are these." The screen showed, current points 21, toothbrush 300 points, bowls and plates 450 points, soap 200 points, scissors 250 points. Chow Xiaoliang rubbed his head and sighed. Really rather mediocre. He continued sadly, "Although the stall can block attacks, it only works 3 times per day, and I can't hide in it 24 hours. Right now, the most important thing is improving my self-defense." Without hesitation, he told the system, "Attendant, convert everything to stamina points." The system happily accepted. Received. Host, stamina +1, conversion complete. Man and system looked at each other, waiting for results. But nothing changed no matter how long they waited. Chow Xiaoliang was disappointed that nothing had shifted. The system made no comment and only announced a new mission. Obtain 100 crystals and hire a server within 24 hours. Hearing this, Chow Xiaoliang's face twisted. 100 is too many, and what is a server? Does he have to share his tiny stall with someone else? At that moment, a gust of wind blew, slapping a flyer straight into his face. Printed on it was a picture of a female server in a maid outfit, with the words, "Welcome, dear customers." He looked at the paper and murmured, "This is the milk tea shop across the street. I remember that girl used to come to school handing out flyers and offering free samples." Memories flooded back, leaving him wistful. He wondered how she was now, whether she was still alive. But the reverie didn't last long. His imagination began to run wild. He daydreamed of a beautiful blonde in a maid outfit calling him boss. The image energized him. He cheerfully pushed the cart, exclaiming, feeling instantly motivated. The scene shifted to the lava-filled chasm, where a dark figure suddenly leapt into the air. It was the silver-haired woman he had tricked into jumping earlier. She looked around, then slowly got to her feet, her face sad and contemplative. After that, she ran off in some direction for reasons unknown. Dawn broke. Chow Xiaoliang had pushed the cart all night and finally stopped before a dilapidated shop. He cautiously stuck his head in and whispered, "Anyone here?" For zombies heard the sound and slowly tilted their stiff necks to look at him. Seeing it was unsafe, he hurriedly shut the door and politely said, "Sorry to bother you." Without another word, he spun and ran like mad. Weren't these the zombies from yesterday? Why wouldn't they leave him alone? The system replied evenly, "They were here before you. You were the intruder." The zombies opened mouths like blood bowls and chased wildly. One with terrifying spring leaped up and lunged at the cart. As expected, it was knocked away by the defensive shields several meters. But Chow Xiaoliang wasn't pleased. He cried out in regret, "The block function can only be used 3 times a day. We can't waste it like this." Saying that, he scrambled to push the cart and flee. Where he hadn't noticed, the zombie that had been knocked away began to mutate grotesquely. It let out a horrifying roar, its body folding into an unnatural posture, then crawled toward him at a terrifying speed, opening its mouth aimed at his heel. Chow Xiaoliang noticed in time and nimbly dodged the bite. He cursed angrily, "You bastard, sneaking attacks now?" With that, he delivered a powerful kick to its face. The zombie flew into the air and smashed straight into a nearby vending machine. The loud crash froze the other zombies. The vending machine toppled and crushed the zombies that couldn't dodge. Chow Xiaoliang stood stunned at the sight and murmured, "Did I do that?" One kick and its head cracked. He shouted excitedly. Turns out the power boost was real. The system spoke, "Congratulations, host, on successfully killing your first zombie. Reward, a newbie gift pack, a single-use raincoat." Chow Xiaoliang inspected the item and muttered, "Isn't this just a piece of plastic? What's the use?" The system explained, "Don't underestimate it. It's made from high-tech material, waterproof, insulating, and blocks all toxins. Wear it, and even swimming in contaminated water won't harm you. But it's single-use." Chow Xiaoliang was skeptical. Could it really be that miraculous? Suddenly, the sound of many hurried footsteps rose. An army of zombies was approaching. He looked around in alarm and saw zombies everywhere. Exclaiming, "So many zombies?" He thought to himself that this was bad. The noise must have attracted them. A wave of despair hit him. It was a dead end with no way back. At that moment, a soft voice sounded from behind. "Come here quickly." It was a girl in a maid outfit hiding behind the door. Chao Xiaoliang looked down and saw the zombies trapped under the vending machine wriggling out. Ahead, a dense horde of zombies was ready to charge at any moment. Without hesitation, he shoved the cart and dashed toward the girl. The door slammed shut quickly, blocking the zombies outside. He panted, "Thank you so much. If it weren't for you just now, I would have been in trouble." But looking closer, he cried in surprise, "It's you." The girl blinked. "You know me?" Meeting someone familiar in such chaos made him elated. "I'm a student at a school. You used to come to my school to promote the milk tea and even offered samples. Don't you remember me?" The girl smiled brightly. "Of course I remember. I remember you were good at basketball and especially liked peach-flavored boba milk tea." But inwardly she thought otherwise. He wasn't a heartthrob, just ordinary-looking. In a university full of people, how could she remember him? Chao Xiaoliang didn't detect the lie and innocently replied, "But I'm on the soccer club, and I don't like peach flavor." The girl hurriedly fell silent, gently pushed his shoulder, and changed the subject. "That doesn't matter. Anyway, it's great to see you again." Chao Xiaoliang immediately forgot the earlier point. A thought flitting through his head. So soft. After a moment of chatting, he remembered and asked, "Oh right, I still don't know your name." She answered, "I'm Nai Cam." He introduced himself, "I'm Chao Xiaoliang." Nai Cam smiled sweetly and called, "Brother Liang." The call made him tremble, and he turned his back and sobbed. It was the first time in his life a girl had called him brother, and from such a pretty girl, he was overwhelmed with happiness. Nai Cam was speechless, wondering why he was crying. Suddenly, a noise rang out. Chao Xiaoliang snapped to alert and shouted, "Who's there?" He stepped forward to pick up a rolling can on the ground, when another sound came from the closed door beside them, making him jump. Chao Xiaoliang cautiously approached the mysterious door and reached out to touch the handle. Suddenly, Nai Cam's terrified voice cried from behind, "There's a rat!" She leapt into his arms as if to stop him opening the door and cooed, "Brother Liang, I saw it. It's a rat." Chao Xiaoliang was pulled away and asked, "Where's the rat?" She replied offhandedly, trying to distract him, "It ran over there. I'm so scared." In a shadowed corner he hadn't seen, a head quietly slipped out from behind the door, eyes flashing with menace. On this side, Nai Cam cried out and then fell backward, feigning faint. Chao Xiaoliang panicked and caught her, worriedly asking, "Nai Cam, are you okay?" She weakly answered, "Brother Liang, I'm so hungry. I've been trapped here for 5 days with nothing to eat." He snapped his fingers and smiled. "So it's hunger, easy to fix." He ran back to the cart and said, "Wait a bit. I'll make you something to eat." He sat down and rummaged through the goods in the cart, humming happily, "What should I make? How about noodles? Steamed buns, chicken wings, Coca-Cola would be good too." Nai Kim watched his naive behavior coldly, but her mind was on food. She stood up and moved closer to the cart, and saw eggs, oil, and other items scarce in the chaos. She was secretly amazed. Where did this guy find so much food? A dangerous smile spread across her lips. Unexpectedly, he turned out to be a fat sheep. This time the harvest would be big. Nai Kim reached for an egg, but the moment she grabbed it, the egg vanished. She tried several times with the same result. It was the system's rule. Ingredients in the snack cart couldn't be stolen and would automatically return to their original place without the shopkeeper's permission. Nai Cam, unaware of this, began to doubt. What's going on? Am I hallucinating? But she didn't dwell on it and decided to change tactics. Never mind that. Deal with this guy first. Everything in this cart will be mine. She reached behind her, intending to grab the knife she had hidden, but couldn't find it. She panicked. Where did it go? Chao Xiaoliang suddenly spoke. Are you looking for this? Nai Cam froze when she saw her knife in his hand. That's mine. How did it end up with you? He recalled that when she pretended to faint, he had quickly taken the knife from her back. He grinned slyly. Of course you need a knife to cook. The little stall just opened and lacks proper tools. I'll borrow it for a bit. You don't mind, do you? Nai Cam forced a smile. Of course not. But inside she was fearful. How did he know she had a weapon? Had he been watching for her all along? Seeing the situation turn against her, she hurried to explain. Brother Liang, don't misunderstand. You know how hard it is for a girl to survive in the apocalypse. This knife is for self-defense. Chao Xiaoliang replied casually. How could I misunderstand? Of course I trust you. Nai Kem timidly asked. So when you're done, could you return the knife to me? He nodded. Of course. He handed the knife toward her, reminding. But this blade is very sharp. I'd advise you not to use it. Nai Kem gripped the knife, an evil smile contrasting her gentle voice. Is that so? With that, she sprang up, no longer appearing weak, and lunged to stab him with the knife, shouting, Stupid man. So easy to trick. You deserve to die. But before the blade touched him, the defensive shield popped up, flinging Nai Kem away. She screamed in pain. Chao Xiaoliang scratched his ear and sighed. I told you not to use it recklessly. Why wouldn't you listen? Nai Kem fell to the ground and stared at him, eyes wide. Are you a superpowered user? Undeterred, she grew more aggressive. You brat. You tricked me. I have to fight you. She leaped up, kicking up a cloud of dust, sparks flashing at her feet. Chao Xiaoliang remained unfazed and calmly pulled out the defensive spray and sprayed it at Nai Kem. Caught off guard, she was hit and squeezed her eyes shut, crying, It's so burning. Nai Kem writhed on the ground, clutching her swollen eyes and wailing, My eyes! Chao Xiaoliang laughed triumphantly, holding up a jar of mustard. Why didn't you say you can't handle spicy? I'll definitely note the customer's taste. He continued sprinkling mustard on Nai Kem's face, saying, Do you like grilled food? How about a little mustard? Nai Kem begged in pain. Stop. Please stop. Chao Xiaoliang called out loudly toward the door. Anyone inside? If you don't come out, your friends are going to be pickled. The door remained tightly shut, then cracked open a little before suddenly swinging wide. 2 children, a boy and a girl, rushed out carrying wooden sticks and shouted in unison, Let the boss out! Chao Xiaoliang was slightly taken aback by the scene. The boy shouted proudly, Boss, don't be afraid. We're here to save you. The girl, eyes brimming with tears, still bravely yelled, Don't let the boss get hurt. Chao Xiaoliang only needed a little strength to subdue both of them. He scolded sternly, You're too young to skip school and form gangs to harm others. The 2 children screamed in unison, Let us go! Nai Kem forced herself up and shouted, Don't hurt them. If you have the guts, aim at me. Chao Xiaoliang replied coldly, You said it. He threw the 2 kids toward her, and all 3 tumbled to the ground. He entered the hidden room and saw food and drinks piled everywhere. He listed off, All right, instant noodles, biscuits, canned goods. He stroked his chin and smiled at the 3 conspirators tied in the corner. Looks like quite a few people were duped before me. Seeing him calm, Nai Kem asked, I've never made a mistake during this time. How did you find out? Chao Xiaoliang answered. Then it just means those people before were really stupid. He explained, You said you'd been trapped here nearly 5 days without eating, but there's still soup left in the can. Clearly it was opened recently. Besides, there's fresh blood on the floor over there. Yet you have no wounds on your body. He concluded, So there's only one possibility. Someone else here was injured or has died. After analyzing, he muttered under his breath, barely audible, That was dangerous. I'd almost become one of them. The boy angrily said, Serves them right. If they hadn't tried to take advantage of others, they wouldn't have been tricked. The girl chimed in, Exactly, we never deceive good people. Those duped are all bad like you. Being labeled a villain, Chao Xiaoliang was stunned and thought to himself, How am I the bad guy? Nai Kem said, In this chaotic world, everyone just wants to survive. You can't blame me. Chao Xiaoliang nodded. Yeah, there's some truth to that. But then he switched tone, grinning fiercely. So now you're in my hands. Whatever I decide to do, you can't blame me. Nai Kem went pale. What do you want to do? Chao Xiaoliang stared at the 3 and smiled. I haven't had fresh meat in a long time. Looks like today's a feast. The 2 kids panicked and screamed. He eats people. No, I don't want to be eaten. Despite his fierce appearance, Chow Xiaoyang was secretly pleased. The kids dared to question him and were now scared. Nai Cam stood between the two children and begged, "If you want to eat me. They're still kids. Please let them go." The girl sobbed, "No, don't eat the boss." The boy resolutely said, "Adult meat isn't tasty. I'm a kid. My meat is tender. Eat me instead." Chow Xiaoyang had only meant to scare them, but things turned out like this. He wondered inwardly why these three con artists were so close they made him look like the villain. Suddenly, the girl began to cough violently. The boy cried out anxiously, "Sister," Nai Cam said, "Xiao Ling is hurt. If she's tied like this, she won't be able to breathe." Chow Xiaoyang told himself to stay sharp and not be fooled. Were they trying to get him to loosen the ropes and then stab him? Xiao Ling continued coughing without stop. Seeing this, he wavered slightly but kept his composure. "That girl's acting is even better than yours." The boy shouted, "We didn't lie to you. The boss spoke the truth. If this continues, she'll die." Seeing their urgency, he didn't untie them immediately but whispered, "System, run a check." The system emitted a beam of light surrounding the girl to run a scan, then announced she had a severe internal infection that had become pus-filled and gangrenous. Without timely treatment, she had only 3 days to live. While both sides were still discussing, Xiao Ling suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood. Chow Xiaoyang was startled and hurriedly used his knife to cut the ropes. The ropes sprang loose and the girl collapsed forward. Nai Cam and the boy called out together, "Xiao Ling!" After removing her outer shirt, he discovered blood spreading across the bandage over her chest. Seeing this, Chow Xiaoyang angrily scolded, "This is a gunshot wound. Who would be so heartless to do this to a child?" Nai Cam retorted angrily, "The Jinglei Legion." She lowered her eyes and, voice sad, recounted, "Their mother was a regular at my shop. When the world erupted into chaos, they were buying bubble tea at the store. I've watched a lot of end-of-the-world films, so when I saw people on the street tearing each other apart, I knew things were bad and immediately closed the shop. Soon after, news reported a zombie virus outbreak and urged people to stay indoors, so the customers stayed. At first, everyone banded together, encouraging each other to wait for rescue. But over time, food ran out and people's true natures emerged. A man didn't hesitate to snatch a loaf of bread from the children's mother's hands. The mother helplessly said, "Who are you? Your share was already taken, that's ours." He sneered, "They're so small. How can they get the same portion as adults? 3 people sharing 1 portion is enough." The mother tried to explain, "My daughter is sick. She can't go without food. Please return it to me." The man looked down at the girl and said coldly, "Looking at her condition, she won't live 2 days. Feeding her is a waste. Better give it to others." The boy jumped up and bit the man's hand hard. "That's my sister's." The man flew into a rage, grabbed the boy up and shouted, "You brat! How dare you bite me? I'll throw you to your death. Saves food." The mother panicked and rushed forward, screaming, "Xiao Lu!" Nai Cam couldn't stand it. She stepped out and gently tripped the man. He wasn't expecting it and tumbled to the ground. Nai Cam caught Xiao Lu and snapped, "Food is limited. On what grounds do you steal from others?" The man cursed furiously. "You call that food? A tiny piece of bread. Who could that feed? Do you want us to starve?" Nai Cam was speechless at that logic and coldly replied, "Do I owe you? If you want food, there's plenty outside. Go find it yourself." She looked at him as if at a coward who wouldn't face zombies and only bullied women and children. The man angrily barked, "Bastard! How dare you talk to me like that?" A middle-aged woman in the shop intervened. "Miss, there are many people like this. This little food really isn't enough. Could you share more?" Another customer added, "Yes, when the chaos ends we'll repay you double." Nai Cam explained, "This is a bubble tea shop, not a supermarket. There's only this much food total. I already took it all out." A young woman pointed toward the room and demanded, "You've really taken everything? Then why is that room locked so tight? What's inside?" Nai Cam answered calmly, "That's where I change. There's nothing inside." The other wouldn't relent. "I don't believe you, unless you open the door for us to see." Nai Cam frowned. not understanding why they were pressing so hard, but she alone couldn't stand against the hungry crowd. People screamed, "She won't prove it. There must be food inside. Letting everyone starve while she eats alone. How selfish can she be?" Xiao Lu and Xiao Ling's mother stepped forward to intervene. "Everyone, don't be like this. If she hadn't kindly taken us in, we wouldn't have survived until now. You can't be so heartless." But when hunger overpowered reason, these words had no effect. Someone shouted, "If she hadn't meddled, I'd have gone home long ago." Another added, "Right? If we'd left earlier, we might have met rescuers and been taken to a safe military zone." Naikam smiled bitterly. "Ungrateful lot. If you want to leave, it's not too late." The aggressive man barked, "You bastard. Acting like you're above us, huh?" The crowd surged forward to restrain Naikam, shouting, "Ignore her. Bust the door down." The man didn't wait and stepped up to smash the door. "If I find food in there, just watch how I deal with her." After several strong rams, the door burst open. Inside were nothing but women's dresses. The man blinked in surprise and blurted, "Clothes of all things." He stepped inside, looked around, and muttered, "Isn't this a bubble tea shop? Why are there so many dresses?" A middle-aged woman sneered, "I've long thought she wasn't a proper woman." A young woman chimed in, "A decent girl wouldn't dress like that. She's clearly trying to seduce men." Naikam shouted angrily, "Don't be outrageous." Suddenly, a thunderous explosion rang out from outside. An off-road vehicle smashed through the main door and barreled into the shop. The front of the vehicle bore an emblem of a gear and a lightning bolt. A man stepped out, laughing loudly. "People here." Everyone in the shop immediately went on guard. "Who are you?" The man's menacing appearance made it clear he was there to rob. "Sure enough," he declared, "we are the Jinglei Legion. Whoever doesn't want to die, hand over all your food." The man who had argued with Naikam earlier now trembled and pleaded, "Please don't hit me. I was just passing by." He pointed at Naikam. "All the resources are with that woman. She's the owner here." Members of the Jinglei Legion grinned lecherously. "Women, huh? Not just one. Haven't seen a woman this pretty in a long time. Today the boys get to eat." Naikam only had time to shout, "Run!" before grabbing the two children and turning to flee. Elsewhere, two robbers had already pinned down a young couple. The man cried, "I'll give her to you. Don't kill me, spare me." The woman screamed in terror, "No! Help me!" A blonde man chased close behind Naikam and grabbed her shoulder. "Kid, don't run. I'll send you to Cloud 9. Naikam twisted her wrist, and a dagger appeared. She slashed the dagger toward the man, barking, "In your dreams!" The blonde man, taken aback, snarled, "Bastard!" hiding a knife. He pulled out a gun and squeezed the trigger. "Die!" The bullet was aimed at Naikam, but Xiao Ling suddenly lunged out to shield her. The bullet ripped through the girl's shoulder. The sight made Naikam, Xiao Lu, and the children's mother horrified, and they cried in unison, "Xiao Ling!" The gang leader barked, "Idiot! Who told you to fire? Don't you know it'll attract zombies?" He turned and shot the young woman who had confronted Naikam inside the shop in the head. Seeing the situation turn against them, he stopped caring about the women and just wanted to loot supplies and leave. He ordered, "Take everything, leave nothing. Anyone who tries to run gets shot." Anyone who tried to run was cut down by a bullet. In the end, only Naikam, Xiao Lu, and Xiao Ling were driven into a corner against the wall with no escape. The children's mother suddenly lunged forward, grabbing the man's waist to hold him back and shouted, "Run!"
Xiao Le screamed in terror, "Mom!"
The thug slammed his hand hard into her head. "Goddamn woman, let go!" But she didn't let go, not even a little. "Don't worry about me. If you don't, everyone will die." The weak mother spoke her last wishes, begging Naikam to take care of Xiao Lu and Xiao Ling. Naikam swallowed her tears and held the dazed Xiao Lu, gritted her teeth and jumped out the window to escape. When she saw the three run out of the shop, the mother pulled the pin from the grenade at the man's thigh. The explosion blew the bubble tea shop to ashes. Back in the present, Naikam sat dazed on the ground and said, "I promised Sister Li I'd protect them so they'd survive. This was the only way I could." She couldn't hold it back and sobbed, Sorry, I'm useless. Xiao Ling woke, reached out to wipe her tears, and obediently said, Boss, don't cry. Xiao Ling doesn't hurt. If Xiao Ling dies, will she get to see her mother? Nai Cam hurriedly comforted her. Xiao Ling, you won't die. Xiao Lu panicked. I've already lost our mother. Little sister, don't leave me. The system, moved by the story, said, They're so pitiful. Chao Xiaoyang shot at a glance. Now they're pitiful, but earlier they killed me without hesitation. He thought to himself that in this chaotic world, carrying 2 children wasn't just a burden but invited trouble and increased the risk of death. That she had held on this long still showed some conscience. He turned to the system and asked, Little two, don't you have medicine in your space? Is there anything that can cure this child? The system replied, There is, but you have to unlock a higher tier space to use it. Your privileges aren't sufficient. He sneered. You just said they're pitiful. Now you see someone dying and won't help. You're a system that can't be flexible. The system, seeing through him, replied coldly. You're trying to trick me into unlocking privileges, aren't you? Chao Xiaoyang frowned, thinking to himself that being spotted so easily meant the system was fairly clever. Although the system couldn't open the privileges for him, it offered another solution. Not flexible but not without options. The snack stall's second function, food made by the owner, has healing effects. Chao Xiaoyang cheered. Why didn't you say so earlier? Does this precious item have any other surprises I don't know about? The system calmly replied, Effectiveness depends on level. The higher the level, the better. At your current level, you can only rely on luck. Chao Xiaoyang rolled up his sleeves and decided, Well, we have to try. He looked at the eggs, flour, and oil on the table and wondered what he could make with just these ingredients. An idea popped into his head and he exclaimed, Got it! He cracked eggs into a bowl, kneaded the dough and seasoned it, then began cooking it in the pan. The aroma spread, making Nai Cam's group curious. Xiaolu wiped his mouth and praised, Smells great. A while later, Chao Xiaoyang held up the freshly made cake and said, Done. Nai Cam asked warily, What are you trying to do? He smiled. Don't worry, it's not poison. He offered the cake to Xiao Ling. This is the egg cake I loved as a child. Xiao Ling, try it. The little girl took the cake and smiled brightly. Thank you. She bit a piece, chewing and praising. Smells good, sweet, delicious. Suddenly, Xiao Ling's eyes widened and she sprang to her feet. Nai Cam panicked. Xiao Ling, you can't stand up yet. The girl blinked in confusion. I don't seem to hurt at all anymore. Nai Cam couldn't believe it and felt the girl's forehead. Really? The fever was gone, and even the wound had begun to heal. Xiaolu excitedly. So my sister won't die? That's amazing. Nai Cam noticed something odd, looked at the egg cake and asked, What did you put in the cake? There's no medicine that brings down a fever that fast. Is this some special ability of yours? Chao Xiaoyang replied, Of course I can't tell you that. But Xiao Ling has only had initial improvement. To fully recover, she needs to eat the egg cakes I make for a while. He grinned slyly. Consider this a sample. Next time you'll have to pay. Nai Cam pointed to the pile of food on the floor. No problem. Just cure Xiao Ling and all this is yours.
Xiao le nodded, même.
Chao Xiaoyang waved his hand to refuse. I have enough food already. I don't need those. He pointed at Nai Cam. I need you, Xiaola shouted. Bastard. You clearly don't have good intentions toward the boss. Xiao Ling also said, Don't stop treating me. Don't hurt the boss. Chao Xiaoyang sighed in exasperation. What are these kids thinking all day? Don't they have anything else in their heads? He turned to explain, I want you to work for me, as staff at the snack stall. Employee benefits include board and lodging taken care of by me. Nai Cam didn't answer immediately and discussed it with the 2 children. Xiao Lu said, We don't know what powers this person has, but he looks quite strong. Nai Cam added, Also, following him means free food. No need to worry about supplies. Xiao Ling nodded. I think that's fine. After a moment, the 3 agreed. Okay, we'll go with you. But you must take Xiao Lu and Xiao Ling with you. Chao Xiaoyang looked at them, briefly regretting it. Why did he feel he just made a mistake? Cam took out a contract and grinned craftily. Even though the world is in chaos, working conditions must be clear. Everything will be by contract. Chow Xiaoliang skimmed it and broke into a sweat. It stated work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 5 types of insurance, a pension fund, 2 shifts, holidays, overtime pay, attendance bonuses, and even a 13th month salary. He angrily shouted that she could have just said paid leave. Cam ignored the tease and even demanded separate benefits for child labor. Suddenly a voice rang from outside the door. The scent is coming from here. A metal axe smashed into the glass door, shattering it. 4 burly men stepped in. The tallest one spoke. Indeed, there are people here. Dai Zhang stepped in and immediately zeroed in on the egg cake in Xiao Ling's hand. Yelling with satisfaction, "I told you my nose is sharp." Xiao Lu stood in front of the girl and shouted that this cake belongs to my sister. Chow Xiaoliang stepped forward to confront Dai Zhang. The man placed his hand on the weapon at his back threateningly, as if asking to fight. Contrary to his expectation, Chow Xiaoliang rubbed his hands and smiled warmly. "Brothers, kids don't get it. I'm the snack stall owner. Tell me what you want to eat and I'll make something new." Dai Zhang turned to the man behind him and said, "Boss, I want to eat." The boss named Lei Hong fell silent to ponder, then stepped forward and asked how much the rookie egg cake sells for. Chow Xiaoliang quickly thought that these people didn't look ordinary. Surely they had many cores. Taking this chance to complete the task, he smiled and handed over the menu. "Here's the menu. Please take a look." Lei Hong read it and was startled. "What, one piece of rookie egg cake costs as much as 10 cores? Chow Xiaoliang answered that the apocalypse is harsh, rice and noodles are bought with lives now. This price is already very reasonable. Lei Hong nodded in agreement. Makes sense. He generously said, "Give me a few." Chow Xiaoliang cheerfully replied, "Coming right up." Dai Zhang threatened, "If it's not good I'll smash both you and the cart." Chow Xiaoliang sneered under his breath that whether it's good or not isn't for him to decide. Lei Hong narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean? Are you saying we'll eat and run?" Just then Cam stepped forward, took Lei Hong's arm and coquettishly said, "Our boss can be blunt. Please don't be mad at him, okay?" Seeing the beauty make the first move, Lei Hong's face flushed. Cam, seeing that the trick worked, kept chatting. "Hey, your chest is so big you must be great at fighting zombies." Lei Hong was flustered and stammered. Of course he was embarrassed. His 3 underlings watched and mocked that their boss had relapsed into his old habit. Whenever he saw a beauty he went dumb and even started stuttering. Cam pulled Lei Hong along. "So many egg cakes will take a while to make. Don't rush. Come in and wait." Lei Hong replied stiffly like a robot, "Okay, okay." As they passed Chow Xiaoliang, she winked at him. He admired silently. The proprietress is truly top tier. Hiring her as staff was definitely the right choice. Chow Xiaoliang went behind the counter, fired up the stove and began to cook. Lei Hong's 3 underlings sat nearby, drooling as they watched. After a moment, the egg cakes came out of the oven, fragrant. Everyone picked one up and took a bite. Chow Xiaoliang and Cam held their breath, waiting for the reaction. Sure enough, Lei Hong exclaimed, "This is delicious." Dai Zhang was amazed. "This tastes like childhood." The blue-haired girl was moved, truly nostalgic. The other one sighed that my tablemate Xiao Fong loves this dish the most. Lei Hong tossed him a large bag of cores as promised. He praised the owner, "Your skills are pretty good." Chow Xiaoliang happily accepted it. "Too kind." Lei Hong asked further, "I see many items on your menu. Aside from rookie egg cakes, what else do you have?" He replied, "Many things," then listed fried chicken, meat skewers, numbing spicy soup, grilled squid skewers, sausages, fried cakes, youtiao, tofu, dipping sauces, cola, beer, salted plum juice, and also, Lei Hong cut him off. "Don't say more, 10 portions of each." Chow Xiaoliang was embarrassed. "But I only have flour, noodles, and eggs on hand. Making those dishes requires many ingredients, which are hard to find in these times." Lei Hong was confident. "That's simple. Just tell me what you need and there's nothing I can't get." Chow Xiaoliang frowned, thinking their boast was bold. Cam leaned in and whispered that these people looked like apocalypse traders. If they supplied ingredients, we wouldn't have to risk going out to find them later. He nodded, "That's true." After discussing, Chow Xiaoliang smiled friendly. "Boss, what's your price for sourcing ingredients?" Could we have a long-term cooperation? Nikam added coaxingly. Hey, get it cheap for us, and at worst you can come to the shop later and not pay. Lei Hong and Dai Zhang looked at each other, surprised by the way she addressed them as boss. The underlings laughed dryly. Right, our big brother is the boss, but he's running a no-capital business. Chao Xiaoliang and Nai Cam's faces darkened when they heard that. Lei Hong suddenly remembered something and turned to Dai Zhang. Why have Ahu's guys been gone so long? Dai Zhang replied they had sent people to look. He left marks along the way and they'll find their way back. Outside, an off-road vehicle rolled closer. A panting man ran in to report to the boss. Bad news. He said Ahu's crew had been wounded. Everyone turned serious and looked toward the door as four ragged, battered men helped each other in. Chao Xiaoliang recognized them immediately and felt a bad premonition. Finally those brats had dragged their bodies back. Lei Hong was stunned at the pitiful sight of Ahu and his men. One nearly lame, another with arms bandaged, clothes filthy and reeking. He urgently asked who had beaten them like this. Ahu looked at the boss like he was seeing a savior, eyes watering. Boss, the little fox got his tail smashed off. Another man painfully raised his arm and described the kid running the food stall, claiming the boy said he was some kind of chosen one. Lei Hong shouted angrily that was nonsense. This isn't a novel. There's no such thing as the chosen in this world. Dai Zhang fired up, slapped his palm and said, right. If there is one, Big Brother should try fighting him to see. The underlings sighed, pointing to their own battered bodies, angrily saying they didn't believe it at first either. But that kid was strange. Every attack we launched was reflected back and we got internal injuries like this. Lei Hong looked at Dai Zhang, wondering attacks being reflected. Could the kid be an ability user? Dai Zhang thought it over and shook his head. He'd never heard of such an ability. Nai Cam, having witnessed Chao Xiaoliang's display, was stunned and thought to herself that it truly was a strange power. She suddenly recalled the force from his cloth, the sonic-like power that nearly sent her flying. After hearing the Kin Loi Legion guys talk, Nai Cam secretly watched Chao Xiaoliang and nervously glanced at Lei Hong, thinking could they be discovered now that the Kin Loi crew had come here. Chao Xiaoliang stealthily took light steps, planning to slip away, muttering slip away, slip away. Nai Cam suddenly pointed at him and shouted, You, traitor, you mean? Lei Hong trembled with anger, eyes bloodshot, a blaze of fury rising. He roared that no matter the kid's background, anyone who harms Lei Hong's people must die. Nai Cam froze as if struck by lightning. Chao Xiaoliang stood motionless, too scared to move. Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu had tears in their eyes and said they'd also heard the name, Lei Hong. Nai Cam stepped forward and asked bluntly, Are you Lei Hong, the boss of the Kin Loi Legion? Dai Zhang answered on his behalf, That's right, and the beaten underling looked at her smugly. So we're that famous? Lei Hong blushed, forgetting duty at the sight of a beautiful woman, laughing loudly and saying he'll overlook it this time. Miss, if you have trouble later, come to me. Before he finished, Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu lunged forward with fists raised to hit him. Xiao Ling shouted that he was the leader of those people. Xiao Lu added, You bastard, your men injured my sister and my mother. Lei Hong grabbed each child by an arm and lifted them up as they struggled, asking in surprise what the kids were crazy about and who had killed their mother. Dai Zhang and the blonde man were also bewildered. Dai Zhang patted their heads and said it was a misunderstanding. Though we're bandits, we've never touched children or women. The blonde nodded in agreement. A minute later, Nai Cam erupted with spiritual energy and charged forward, delivering a kick toward Lei Hong, her voice cold. I have a demon now. Release them at once. Lei Hong dodged by leaning aside and flung Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu to the side. The two kids landed safely, though Xiao Lu nearly couldn't bear it when Xiao Ling sat on him. Lei Hong and Nai Cam fought fiercely. Her flurries of kicks skimmed past, but Lei Hong merely dodged, moving nimbly. Nai Cam grew angrier, channeling all her spiritual energy into an attack. The underlings watched and cheered enthusiastically. The blonde nodded, This woman really has talent. Dai Zhang laughed loudly. There's a good show to watch, but he worried their boss might be reluctant to strike a woman. He didn't know what to do. The whole group shouted, Boss, go for it. Lei Hong's face flushed. He muttered that this weakness was just being chicken around women. He only blocked Nai Cam's blows, and seeing his underlings just spectating made him angry. Aren't these kids going to help when their boss is being pressured? The blue-haired girl cheerfully said to the boss, "This is psychological. You need to overcome it yourself." Lei Hong and Nai Kam continued to chase and dodge, wearing themselves down. The noise of the fight attracted a mysterious creature on the roof hole. Its gigantic tentacles covered the hole, goo dripping onto the floor. Chao Xiaoliang watched, pleased. Enemies clashing was a familiar sight, but he suddenly jolted and swore under his breath. He counted on his fingers. Today there was only one chance left. Panicked, he dashed to the cart, intending to sneak it away back to the safe base. Ehu spotted him and shouted to the bald guy that it was him, the one who was chosen by heaven. Lei Hong pointed toward his underlings. "It's him." He grabbed Nai Kam's leg and flung her away mercilessly. She fell and cried out in pain. Dai Zhang stepped forward and seized both of Nai Kam's wrists. She struggled, but he held tight, tiredly saying, "Behave yourself. Today will be your end." Lei Hong blocked Chao Xiaoliang's path, twisted his arm with a crack, voice bitter. "You beat my men and stole my cores. It's been a long time since anyone toyed with me like this. Today you're finished." Chao Xiaoliang played dumb, propping his chin and smiling. "Big brother, it's just a misunderstanding." The confident smile made Ehu and the bald guy jump. In anger they said, "Big brother, don't listen to him. This kid is best at acting harmless. Because we were careless we ended up like this." Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu ran up to fiercely defend him, both shouting that "Big brother, he's not harmless. He's formidable." Xiao Ling added that compared to your boss, he's 100 times more dangerous. Nai Kam interjected from afar. "Our boss is the real man, unlike some people who act strong outside but are too weak inside to even strike a woman." Lei Hong's head felt like it was going to explode hearing everyone argue about him. He thought there was no saving it now. Chao Xiaoliang, exasperated, pulled his ear and barked at them to stop talking already. Lei Hong erupted with demonic aura, clenched his fist, and charged forward. "Stop the nonsense. Let's see what you can do." Power surged out. He slammed his fist into the floor. In an instant the surface shattered and cracked. Chao Xiaoliang, frightened, sank to his knees and backed away. From the fissures, energy billowed up with roaring flames, scorching the area. True to his name, Lei Hong exuded an oppressive firestorm aura. In the black smoke his tall silhouette blocked a corner. Each breath sounded like burning, making the flames ahead flare higher. No one dared approach, not even his underlings. After a while, as Lei Hong's anger subsided, the flames gradually died down. Nai Kam stood aghast, too stunned to move, mouth agape. Such a hard concrete floor shattered by a single punch. Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu cowered together in fear, whispering that he was terrifying. Was he a monster? Dai Zhang laughed smugly. "Ability users are already like monsters, and our boss is the best of them." Who boasted. "Now do you know who you messed with?" Chao Xiaoliang quietly watched Lei Hong, amazed by the recent move. Is this the power of an ability user? If that punch landed, even a glancing blow would shatter bones. Before he could regain composure, Lei Hong lunged with a punch hard as steel. Chao Xiaoliang nimbly dodged in time. Lei Hong sneered. "What are you staring for now? Weren't you proud a moment ago? Show your skill, you coward who only hides." He angrily summoned spiritual energy, intending to finish him with one blow. Who's the weak one now? Lei Hong unleashed a barrage of punches at Chao Xiaoliang. Helpless, Chao used both hands to block the fiery blows. The overwhelming force made him tremble. Shockwaves resounded with each strike. Chao Xiaoliang spat blood. He kept his life but suffered severe internal injuries. Lei Hong watched in surprise. "This kid took many of my hits and didn't turn to pulp. He's stronger than ordinary people." That only made him more determined to defeat him. He threw a few more punches, mocking that the boy was still far from being his match. Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu cowered in a corner, terrified. Xiao Ling cried, clutching her brother's shirt. "Big brother can't take much more." Xiao Lu mournfully asked, "Will we never get egg cakes again?" Nai Kam stood still, face dark, thinking that if he died the goods on the cart would all belong to them. Angry, Chao Xiaoliang dodged Lei Hong's iron-like punch. He hadn't planned to fight back, but his opponent's madness enraged him. He shouted that they were the real scum. Lei Hong laughed loudly, ignoring him. "Chosen by heaven? What a lunatic who reads too many novels. An iron-hard punch slammed into Chao Xiaoyang, pinning him painfully against the wall. He grimaced, struggling to open his eyes to look at Lei Hong, the wound on his belly bleeding through his shirt, the pain making him buckle. He raised a hand to cover the wound and slowly stood up, clothes torn to reveal many injuries. Walking with difficulty, he thought fleeing wasn't the answer. Facing that body head-on, even boosting his strength wouldn't cause damage. There was no chance to win. Suddenly he looked toward the vendor cart and felt relieved. If he could borrow that thing, the stronger the attack, the greater the reflected force. Chao Xiaoyang immediately dashed for the vendor cart, ignoring Lei Hong's surprise, thinking the opportunity only came once. Lei Hong, triumphant, muttered that he finally won't run. Now that's manly. Go die. He launched a flurry of punches, but didn't expect Chao Xiaoyang had no intention of fighting. He suddenly bent low, slipped under Lei Hong's legs, shouted enough, and boldly yanked Lei Hong's pants down to his ankles. Lei Hong froze, the strange cold feeling below leaving him disoriented. Lei Hong was exposed. Nai Cam stood dumbfounded, eyes wide and unblinking. Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu were also stunned, legs trembling. Lei Hong's underlings stifled laughs at their boss being publicly humiliated. Ahu and Dai Zhang turned away, while the blonde and the blue-haired girl laughed loudly. What an embarrassment. Chao Xiaoyang excitedly shouted that it worked. Lei Hong's eyes reddened, murderous intent blazing as he roared in fury, then charged at him, vowing he'd definitely kill the boy. Xiao Lu, spotting the dagger at Dai Zhang's side, seized by an impulse, lunged and struck at his groin. Dai Zhang pushed Nai Cam away in pain and screamed. Xiao Lu nimbly snatched the dagger, ran up to Lei Hong and shouted, "Wicked leader, I want you to avenge my mother." Nai Cam and Xiao Ling were panicked at the sight. Xiao Ling worried, "Oh my god, Xiao Lu has gone mad." Dai Zhang immediately raised his gun and fired at Xiao Lu. Careful, boss. Both sides acted at once. Chao Xiaoyang angrily glared at Dai Zhang's action. "Bastard, you still dare to claim you don't hit women and children?" He mustered his strength and shoved the vendor cart toward Xiao Lu. Just as the bullet was a few steps away from him, the cart barreled forward and blocked it, protecting him. The bullet struck the cart with a screeching scrape. Xiao Lu screamed in fear, but the one truly in danger was Chao Xiaoyang. Lei Hong surged forward in blazing fire, lava-like flames rolling, screaming, "Go die." Chao Xiaoyang lay there, cursing his fate. He'd barely gotten a chance to be the main character, and now it seemed over. He thought bitterly of Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu. Indeed, the troublemaking kids were the worst. He closed his eyes to brace for the hit, but when the fiery punch reached his face, it suddenly stopped. A loud explosion rang out as the whole house blew up. From the black smoke, Bak Fai Fai appeared. She stepped forward, eyes cold and murderous as she stared at everyone. She charged straight at Ahu and Dai Zhang without a word. Her first target was Lei Hong. Bak Fai Fai launched a kick at him. Lei Hong was both shocked and terrified to see a pale leg pressed up to his face. Her gaze radiated death, as if warning him for attacking Chao Xiaoyang. Lei Yong glanced, his head spinning, embarrassed and blushing while furious. Chao Xiaoyang recognized her and exclaimed in surprise, "It's her." Bak Fai Fai used spirit techniques, kicking Lei Hong through the air. Her movements were swift as a torrent, making him cry out in pain. With just one strike, Bak Fai Fai sent Lei Hong flying into a wall, causing the room to explode again. Black smoke rose and a loud blast echoed. Bak Fai Fai stood there proudly, eyes fixed on the blaze where Lei Hong had been slammed. His underlings sensed the disadvantage. The blue-haired girl hurriedly asked where this person had come from. The man beside her was stunned. "Boss defeated. How could it be?" The blonde recognized Bak Fai Fai and pointed at her, telling his companions, "Isn't she the one we captured? She's a Jiangshi." They immediately formed a combat line. 2 cannons were quickly loaded and aimed at Bak Fai Fai. Gunshots rang out loudly. The blonde ordered his men to prepare for battle. "Careful not to let her bite you." Hundreds of bullets rained toward Bak Fai Fai like a mad storm. But with agile footwork, she glided lightly, dodging every shot without a single hit. The blonde began to panic, dropping his weapon and exclaiming in disbelief at her speed. This isn't an ordinary Jiangshi but a mutated type. Bok Fai jumped onto the roof of Chao Xiaoyang's vendor cart. Dai Zhang immediately rushed over, raising a sharp iron saber to confront her directly. Chao Xiaoyang watched this heartbreakingly, not out of concern for Bok Fai, but for the fate of his vendor cart. He shouted that if they were going to fight, not to wreck his stall. He threw all his strength into pushing the cart away. Thanks to that, Bok Fai easily dodged Dai Zhang's slash. Another man took advantage of the chaos to sneakily bring up a sniper rifle, aimed carefully at Bok Fai and shouted for everyone to get back. This female monster, take one for me. Chao Xiaoyang ran over from a distance, desperately trying to stop him. Don't. The gunshot tore at his heart. The bullet flew toward Bok Fai, who sat nonchalantly on the cart's roof. She eyed the bullet as if it were a toy. Suddenly she leapt up to avoid the trajectory. At first it looked like the bullet would hit Chao Xiaoyang's cart and destroy everything. But Bok Fai still had a shred of conscience. She grabbed the cart and pulled it back just as the bullet passed, saving it from the blast. Chao Xiaoyang nearly fainted, signaling praise in delight. Well done. The bullet struck the wall and detonated violently. Lei Hong rose from the rubble, body aching, swearing like hell. Who dared shoot at him from behind? Before he finished, a wooden plank flew from nowhere and slammed into his head. Lei Hong fell in pain, crying out that it was over. The blue-haired girl and the masked man panicked, silently praying as they called for the boss. With a lump on his forehead and no tears to shed, Lei Hong turned to the blonde and barked, "Where were you aiming?" The blonde scratched his head, puzzled, stammering an explanation. Lei Hong sprang up, regained his composure and ordered a full attack. "Damn it, hit them." The bald man quickly reloaded and opened fire at Chao Xiaoyang in bursts. "You're chosen by heaven, huh? I'll shoot you like a sieve." Lei Hong's men fired together. Hundreds of bullets rained down. Bok Fai was forced to find cover. Meanwhile, Nai Cam, Chao Xiaoyang, Xiao Lu and Xiao Ling were terrified out of their wits. The four clung to each other, fleeing in panic amid the chaos. Under the heavy barrage, Chao Xiaoyang still worried about his beloved cart, dragging it along no matter what. He even casually asked if my cart wasn't damaged. Nai Kim ran without looking back, angrily scolding him. What kind of time is this to worry about that beat-up cart? The group was in a dire situation, unsure what to do. Chao Xiaoyang retorted in frustration that of course they'd run when the Jiangshi held them back. They wouldn't stay to die. Though trembling with fear, Xiao Lu still boldly cursed at the raiders. These scumbags should be eaten alive by Jiangshi. Bok Fai suddenly turned to look at Chao Xiaoyang's group fleeing in disarray. She was annoyed, puffing her cheeks in anger, thinking they sure can run fast. Suddenly she gripped the iron bar at her feet, turned it into a deadly weapon, decisively knocking away each incoming bullet. With extraordinary strength, Bok Fai hurled the bar into the air. The iron spiraled like a massive vortex, pierced the rain of bullets, and shot straight toward the enemy ranks. The leader was struck by the bar, pain forcing him to drop his gun. One by one, men were disarmed. Guns flew through the air, firing directions scrambled, turning the bullet storm into utter chaos. Chao Xiaoyang, Nai Cam, Xiao Lu and Xiao Ling could only huddle behind the cart, breathing a sigh of relief. They were finally alive. Dai Zhang and his crew turned and fled, not daring to look back. In this state, they feared a crushing defeat. One panicked man yelled to stop using that busted gun. Dying by a comrade's bullet would be terrible luck. It's not the enemy you fear, it's stupid teammates. After the chaotic volley of gunfire, the gun finally lay still on the floor. The gun's smoke slowly cleared, and Lei Hong's men cautiously lifted their heads to watch the situation. Some hid here, others crouched in corners, adopting all kinds of awkward postures. The blonde cheered gleefully that the shooting had stopped. The blue-haired girl looked around in surprise. Where did she go? Their biggest question now was where the female Jiangshi had gone. On the other side, Chao Xiaoyang, Nai Cam, and the two kids Xiao Lu and Xiao Ling slowly crawled up, secretly watching the situation, especially the enemy. Xiao Lu and Xiao Ling warned there was no movement. The group breathed out in relief, finally able to relax a little. Chao Xiaoyang turned to the others, urging urgently that they run now. But he didn't expect Bok Fi to suddenly appear right in front of them, her hair fluttering in the wind, looking like a hovering ghost. She swung down from the cart's awning and casually threw a punch at Chao Xiaoyang. Saying she meant to scare him, it was just a joke. The four were stunned, thinking Bok Fi intended to eat them. After a moment, they all took off at top speed. Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu cried and begged, saying kids can't eat well. Reflexively, Nai Cam gripped the two kids' hands in fear. Not knowing if anyone was really chasing them, they still shouted, "Don't bite me." Chao Xiaoyang led the flight, panicking as he looked back at the three behind him, wondering when they started chasing. In fact, Bok Fi had no intention of eating them. She was a vegetarian jiangshi. Watching Chao Xiaoyang's group run like the wind, she laughed, finding it rather amusing. But the real danger was only now revealed. A monster stealthily observed their every move, its tentacles clinging together as it slowly maneuvered above, looking down at the panicked Chao Xiaoyang. Bok Fi suddenly heard a strange sound from the roof. With keen senses, she immediately recognized the lurking danger. Without a word, she dashed like lightning behind Chao Xiaoyang. He was running like mad. Chao Xiaoyang turned his head in horror and cried out, "Oh my God." His legs felt like they'd been fitted with wheels as he kept running, shouting between screams that he had no grudge against her. Why was she only chasing him? At that moment, massive tentacles tore through the ceiling and plunged down. Slime dripped like cobwebs. The monster used its tentacles to attack Chao Xiaoyang. He screamed, "Help me." Bok Fi saw hundreds of tentacles like an octopus and was briefly surprised, but immediately realized the danger. A sound rang out as Bok Fi accelerated, moving faster than the monster. Ignoring the danger, she intercepted it just as the tentacles were about to touch Chao Xiaoyang. The monster was undeterred and swung more huge tentacles, wrapping Bok Fi tightly and pulling her into the air. She writhed in pain but to no avail. Chao Xiaoyang ran over to help but couldn't pull her free from the monster's grasp. In a desperate moment, Bok Fi reached out to him with helpless eyes. Chao Xiaoyang's heart seemed to stop. He stood there terrified, not knowing what would happen next. The giant creature seemed to be toying with them. After a while, it withdrew its tentacles and suddenly dropped Bok Fi in free fall onto the cold tile floor. Slime from the tentacles seeped through holes in the walls, dripping onto the floor and emitting a strong, foul, fishy smell. Finally, the monster fully revealed itself, descending from above like a bird and landing with force. Its bulky body made a heavy thud, nearly crushing Chao Xiaoyang. The giant octopus blocked out the surrounding light, exuding a dense, strange black smoke. Its eyes glowed red like fiery orbs, furious as it stared at Chao Xiaoyang. Lei Hong suddenly lunged out and roared to warn his men that it was a mutated creature. The group immediately took positions, preparing to respond. A row of sniper rifles was fully loaded, ready to fire on Lei Hong's command. As soon as the order was given, shells exploded in succession, aimed straight at the monster. The giant octopus angrily whipped its tentacles, long as iron arms, forming a solid shield. In an instant, it deftly caught hundreds of bullets. Its thick hide swelled like armored plating, stopping every attack. Bok Fi lay motionless in a pool of blood beside the wall, her injuries severe enough to render her unconscious. Chao Xiaoyang and Nai Kim rushed to her side, filled with worry. Bok Fi grimaced and gasped. Blood from her wounds soaked her body, leaving her even more exhausted. Nai Kim stammered to Chao Xiaoyang that she seemed to have been protecting him moments ago. Chao Xiaoyang sat down and gently supported Bok Fi. Seeing the girl brought to this state for defending him made his heart ache with an indescribable pain. Why did this happen? Though weak, Bok Fi still recognized Chao Xiaoyang's voice. She forced her eyes open, bloodied hands trembling as she clutched something and held it out to him. On her small blood-stained hand she held out a candy wrapper, long crumpled. Chao Xiaoyang immediately recognized the familiar wrapper. He fell into a brief reverie as memories flooded back. The moment he first met Bok Fi when he tossed her a candy. Taking the wrapper from her, Chao Xiaoyang asked emotionally if she had come to give this to him. Bok Fi faintly nodded, letting out a few weak sounds. Exhausted, she couldn't speak further. Her eyes slowly closed. Xiao Lu stood beside them, eyes wide in surprise. She understood what we were saying? Chao Xiaoliang immediately contacted the system, urgently asking how this was possible. She's a Jiangshi, so why is she acting like a human? The system quickly analyzed data from Bak 55's body. A stream of energy ran through her, and continuous analysis signals appeared. The system replied, based on the analysis, the target's body does contain the Jiangshi virus. Research shows some mutated individuals, due to special evolution, can partially recover brain function and display intelligent behavior comparable to smart animals or a child of about 4 years old. Bak 55 moaned in pain, coughing and shedding tears. Nai Kam couldn't hide her pity and worriedly said the girl seemed to be suffering greatly. Xiao Lu innocently asked if Jiangshi can feel pain. Xiao Ling was also puzzled. Didn't she die already? A dozen questions swirled in the children's minds. Xiao Lu rubbed his head in confusion. Aren't Jiangshi only dead if their heads are smashed? Xiao Ling shrank back and protested. She's a good Jiangshi. She didn't bite anyone and even saved her master. I don't want her to die. Nai Kam examined Bak 55's wounds and shook her head sadly. It looked like her spine was broken. Even as a Jiangshi, if she can't move, it's hopeless. Even as a Jiangshi, if she can't move, it's hopeless. Chao Xiaoliang gripped the candy wrapper tightly, bowed his head in anguish, and shouted that she was in this state because of him. He ran to hold Bak 55 in his arms, wondering how to help her recover. Maybe candy shells could work. The system promptly reminded him this function only works on humans. To heal another creature, the host must complete a task to exchange for a special item. Chao Xiaoliang didn't hesitate and resolutely agreed, asking the system to issue the task. The system immediately responded with a new mission. Within 24 hours, obtain a level 2 core. A determination he'd never shown before flashed in Chao Xiaoliang's eyes. A level 2 core is worth the equivalent of 100 normal crystals and only exists in evolved Jiangshi or mutated creatures. He looked toward the giant octopus behind them and said decisively that, in other words, they just needed to kill that thing. Lei Hong also rushed over quickly to support his men. The group frantically opened fire on the monster. However, with its gigantic size and skin as thick as a fortress wall, the octopus was nearly impervious. Dozens of long tentacles blocked its front, absorbing every shell that flew toward it. Daizhong complained wearily that it was too big. Regular rounds simply couldn't penetrate. The bald man charged forward heroically with the heavy gun, saying, "Let me!" He fired a massive shell that flew like an arrow, aimed straight at the monster's head. The monster seemed to sense the danger and immediately spread a raft of tentacles around its body, forming an almost impregnable fortress. A gap opened, revealing eyes as red as blood, gleaming with cunning. The air grew tense to the point of suffocation. The shell hurtled at the octopus, raising everyone's hopes that it would explode. But no, the dozen tentacles surged like ocean waves and enfolded the shell. The octopus curled up and stood motionless, as if challenging them all. The henchman who'd fired cheered boastfully, confidently declaring that if it didn't blow to pieces this time, he wouldn't consider himself human anymore. Lei Hong stood in support behind them, suddenly feeling uneasy. With his extensive combat experience, he knew things couldn't be that simple. Worry surged as he fretted over the lack of any reaction. The two men in front stared at their weapons in extreme confusion. Could the cannon be out of ammo? Suddenly the octopus stirred. It opened eyes as red as two flames of hell and looked down at the tiny figures below with a smug expression. Tentacles spread out and thick black smoke billowed like ink, shrouding the area. The creature slowly rose, using its tentacles as legs, standing towering like a mobile tower, huge and menacing. As the black smoke cleared, the shell lay snug in its huge mouth. The shell had lost its ability to detonate, clenched like a harmless toy. Daizhong, witnessing the scene, roared in fury to reload. The remaining henchmen stood terrified, stammering. Lei Hong could barely stand, stepping forward slowly with eyes wide and mouth agape, so it could even swallow a shell. The monster, as if taunting them, still held the shell in its mouth. Suddenly, its tentacles lashed out nimbly like giant machines. One, then two, then three tentacles swept across, flinging everyone aside. Lei Hong's men were scattered like dry leaves before a storm, falling into panic. The monster spat out a large amount of green slime, foul-smelling and hot like lava. More and more of the slime erupted, sticking to anyone it touched like rat glue. The men screamed in agony. The blonde unfortunately got slime on his arm. His flesh immediately burned as if seared, quickly rotting away. The bald man didn't escape either. His back was covered in slime that soaked into his clothes. He yelled loudly that it hurt. Lei Hong looked at his wounded men, fury welling up. He shouted a warning to get back. This liquid is corrosive. Swift as a blade, Lei Hong grabbed a large nearby boulder and propped it up as a shield, temporarily sheltering the group from the creature's assault. The giant rock became their makeshift refuge. Lei Hong held the defense resolutely, waiting for his men to reach cover. After a while, Daizhong and another man hurriedly hid behind the rock. But the monster did not stop and continued to spray toxic fluid toward their hiding place. Using extraordinary strength, Lei Hong lifted the rock on his back and trudged forward step by heavy step. Daizhong cowered, clutching his head and trembling. Suddenly, a giant tentacle swung and struck the rock hard. The creature repeatedly slammed with force, trying to break the defense. Slime flowed through the cracks, and the pressure from it grew increasingly terrifying. A strong, foul stench rose, and the rock began to smoke from being corroded. Daizhong broke out in a cold sweat and panicked, saying the cement is being corroded. We won't hold out long at this rate. Though trembling, Lei Hong stubbornly held the rock, trying to protect his teammates. He roared, angry at the monster and berating his men. "Damn it, you lot! Help me!" The creature's weight exceeded what they could bear. No matter how strong, being overwhelmed was only a matter of time. Lei Hong shook, his hands slowly losing control, his legs weakening, and finally he collapsed under the tremendous pressure. The giant rock couldn't hold and was pierced by the monster's tentacle. A loud bang rang out as the massive tentacle slammed down like a pillar driven into the ground. One henchman was unlucky and got wrapped by a tentacle, hoisted high into the air. The monster tightened its grip on the prey and headed for the hole in the ceiling to deliver the killing blow. The henchman screamed in panic, shouting for Big Brother to save him. Lei Hong couldn't let go of the rock. Full of worry and helplessness, he could only watch. Damn it, there was no other choice. Lei Hong resolved to save his comrade. He summoned all his strength and a fierce surge of force erupted like a wave of fire. With a roar, he exerted his power to lift the colossal rock and hurled it straight at the monster, letting go. The rock hurtled like a meteor. Lei Hong also lunged after it, appearing before the octopus in a flash, ready for a direct confrontation. He breached the defense, grabbed hold of a tentacle, and angrily shouted he'd tear it apart. But even with all his strength, he couldn't scratch the creature's hide. He cursed inwardly. Damn it, the slime is too slippery, you can't get purchase. The octopus, enraged by the provocation, immediately swung a tentacle and flung him far away. Lei Hong roared in pain. Not stopping there, the monster continued to spray toxic fluid from its tentacles like giant nozzles. Lei Hong was nearly exhausted, frozen midair as his protective posture weakened. Then he fell to the ground. At that moment, a familiar figure appeared. Chao Xiaoliang donned his protective suit, covering his whole body, eyes cold as he charged straight at the octopus. While it wasn't paying attention, he ran along a tentacle and approached from behind. Chao Xiaoliang's eyes flashed deep blue. A tremendous power ran through his body. Even as the slime sprayed dozens of times, he nimbly dodged. Lei Hong's henchman slowly rose, eyes wide in astonishment. That's the kid up there. How is he unscathed? Someone asked. Is that a special ability? Lei Hong landed safely and couldn't believe his eyes. Impossible. There were no signs of an ability emanating from him. He suddenly remembered something and shouted. Could he actually be the monster? The monster thought Chao Xiaoliang would be easy prey and kept swinging its massive tentacles to attack. But he fought with empty hands, deftly evading each strike, weaving left and right like a perfect dance. The creature could hardly touch him. Chao Xiaoliang leapt high into the air, targeting the tentacle before him. Using his spiritual force, he moved like lightning and executed an action of vanishing like in an action movie. In a single second, he disappeared without a trace. A cold surge of aura descended. Chao Xiaoyang clenched the dagger Flame of Vengeance and drove it straight into the monster's lower body, aiming for the shell lodged in its mouth. He shouted, "Here it is. Don't care about life or death." Chao Xiaoyang thrust the knife hard into the shell, do or die. Only then did everyone realize Chao Xiaoyang was a man chosen by fate. Under the knife's impact, the shell immediately spat fierce sparks and was successfully detonated. A deafening blast rang out as flames erupted around the creature's body. A cataclysmic explosion tore it apart. The fire grew larger and larger, black smoke blanketing the sky. Pieces of the monster's body rained down everywhere, blood pouring profusely. The remaining carcass of the octopus lay motionless, roasted by the flames like a grill, blood running like a river, the rank stench assaulting the nose. As the black smoke cleared, Chao Xiaoyang removed his protective suit, smiling with satisfaction. This raincoat works pretty well. He was pleased with the gadget. The blast shock was perfectly insulated. High-tech was indeed powerful. He called the system, "Second Elder, can you give me a few more next time?" The system chuckled at the silly request and replied, "Rewards are randomly drawn, but if the host performs well, your chances will be high." Chao Xiaoyang suddenly remembered the main objective. The monster had been killed, and he immediately began rummaging through the pile of rotten flesh. Beneath the slime, he picked up an object emitting a warm golden glow. "Just what I needed." He cheered. He'd found it. A level 2 core. The system announced, "Congratulations, host. Mission complete. You received a level 2 core. Rewards: an instant healing candy with unlimited uses, plus an apocalypse cookbook." Chao Xiaoyang looked at the book and asked blankly, "What use is a cookbook?" The system explained, "In the apocalypse, many creatures and plants mutate. If you remove the infected parts, they're edible. But ordinary people don't know this and won't dare eat them. This book details their anatomy and cooking methods, indispensable for anyone wanting to run a food stall in the apocalypse." Hearing that, Chao Xiaoyang's annoyance eased. He happily accepted the reward and tucked it away, thinking it was a useful item. But the most important thing was saving people. He hurried to the weak Bok Fi Fi, gently lifted her head, and fed her the candy he'd just received. Bok Fi Fi grimaced, swallowing it with difficulty and discomfort. But only seconds later she suddenly opened her eyes wide and stared at Chao Xiaoyang. Her previously frail body was completely healed. She happily stood up, stretched, and waved her arms and legs confidently. Tu Lin next to her cheered excitedly, "Amazing! She's alive again." Nai Kim watched the scene, uneasy, swallowing hard as she thought to herself that this guy single-handedly handled the mutated octopus. The more she thought, the less she understood. Just moments ago he seemed ordinary, and now he's like a different person. Could he be hiding strength? After dancing around a bit, Bok Fi Fi looked up at Chao Xiaoyang, pointed to her mouth, and made a few cute ah sounds as if expecting something. Seeing Bok Fi Fi's naive gesture, Chao Xiaoyang snapped, annoyed, "Are you even there? Are you that addicted to games?" Tu Lin excitedly ran over, eyes sparkling with curiosity. "What game?" Tu Lin wants to play too. Nai Cam stood watching Chao Xiaoyang, thinking to herself that this guy didn't look trustworthy at all. Chao Xiaoyang had to reenact the old trick. He gripped the bag of candies like before, and while Bok Fi Fi wasn't paying attention, he dashed off and tossed the candies behind him for her to chase and pick up. Tu Lin beamed, clapping and cheering, thrilled as if watching a funny performance. Watching the three of them joke, Nai Cam couldn't help but smile, thinking to herself that this guy's heart isn't so bad after all. Maybe he's trustworthy. Tu Lak stayed wary, sneaking up behind Tu Lin and whispering, "Little sister, stay a bit away from her." He looked at Bok Fi Fi with suspicion. "She's a zombie. Won't she really bite someone?" Bok Fi Fi suddenly turned and stared at the two siblings, her eyes showing affection, especially toward the chubby Tu Lin. She smiled, trying to show she liked the little girl. Tu Lin froze, watching Bok Fi Fi worriedly. Crumbs of candy still stuck to her cheek. Bok Fi Fi excitedly lunged forward and licked the crumbs off Tu Lin's cheek. The girl giggled in delight because it tickled. When she finished, Bok Fi Fi licked her lips and looked at Tu Lak with a hungry expression. scaring him out of his wits. She spread her arms and rushed at him. Tulak went pale, turned and ran, shouting, "You're cruel! You scared the kid half to death. I'm a boy, you know. Aren't you ashamed?" Tulin stood behind, chuckling. Big brother's blushing.
Leon suddenly shouted loudly.
Strode quickly to Chao Xiaoyang with a worried voice. "If you can even heal zombies, you can surely save my men, right?" Chao Xiaoyang looked at Hu Daizhong and the bald-headed man writhing on the ground, clutching an arm soaked in blood from the creature's toxic fluid. Another man had passed out and was unconscious. He examined Hu Daizhong's arm wound, extremely severe, flesh rotting, bone exposed as if eaten by acid. The organs were probably badly affected too. A large hole in Hu Daizhong's arm exposed the bone inside. The infection was dreadful. Lei Hong nodded, urgency in his voice. "I can see that. Treat them quickly." Chao Xiaoyang threw Lei Hong an annoyed glance. "Are you ordering me around?" "Fine." He sprang to his feet, folding his arms in reproach. "You just hurt me. Why should I help you?" Lei Hong cut to the chase, understanding Chao Xiaoyang's meaning, and bluntly offered, "How many cores do you want? Just name a number." At the mention of cores, Chao Xiaoyang's eyes lit up and he immediately changed his tone, grinning slyly. "Then I won't be polite." Suddenly a hand landed on Chao Xiaoyang's shoulder, startling him. Nai Kem coldly shoved him aside. His pathetic screams echoed through the area. She bared her teeth at Lei Hong. "No amount will help. You won't be healing them." Tu Lin and Tu Lak chimed in together. "Right? You're looters, demons, murderers." Lei Hong replied wearily. "I've said it, we're thieves, but we have principles. We don't kill those who can't resist." He narrowed his eyes and shook his head. "If your mother was truly killed by my men, she surely wasn't an innocent woman." Tu Lin and Tu Lak immediately grew angry and retorted, "That's a lie. My mother is a good person. You're the bad ones." Nai Cam took the two kids' hands and scolded Lei Hong. "Don't make excuses. You just want to heal them and then kill us afterward, right? We won't be fooled." Chao Xiaoyang slowly stepped forward, cutting into the argument. "Well, what he said might be true, Nai Cam."
Ngai Kam.
Tu Lin and Tu Lak were stunned and shouted in protest. "What?" After the exhausting chase, Chao Xiaoyang gently produced an old torn red headband and asked Tu Lak, "This fell out of your bag, right?" Tu Lak saw it and immediately shouted excitedly, "Yes, this is the mark of that group. I always carry it to remind myself not to forget what they looked like." He recalled his mother's killer, a middle-aged man blind in one eye, wearing a red headband, who looked somewhat like Lei Hong. Chao Xiaoyang also handed over the dagger he'd picked up. "This dagger is theirs, right?" They compared the evidence. The emblem on the headband and dagger were similar, but mirrored. Nai Kem examined the dagger closely and noticed some differences. Tu Lak, disappointed, said, "This one looks way more stylish." Tu Lin looked at the headband's emblem and judged, "Honestly, this looks like an elementary schooler's drawing." Lei Hong, standing nearby and hearing his group's logo criticized, flushed with anger. "What? Simple debate? This is called a strong, free-spirited style. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense." Chao Xiaoyang sighed and tried to mediate. "I've seen gangs use others' names to rob and stir up hatred before." He looked at Nai Cam. "The group you encountered must be imposters." Nai Cam, Tu Lak and Tu Lin were stunned and echoed, "Imposters." Only then did Lei Hong grasp the full situation. He seemed sympathetic but couldn't hide his resentment. "No wonder some people suddenly attacked us before, as if there was deep hatred. Turns out there was a third party causing trouble." Tu Lak angrily cursed. "Those people are fools, disgusting. So they weren't the Jinglei Legion at all, just con artists." Tu Lin looked up at her brother sadly, voice full of grievance. "So who do we seek revenge on?" The two children were pitiful, their eyes filled with the pain of losing their mother. Nai Kem bent down, looked at the two kids gently, and tried to comfort them to ease some of their pain. "Revenge is not a burden you must carry. More than that, your mother would want you to live healthy and happy." Tu Lak and Tu Lin quietly looked at Nai Cam, their gazes still heavy with sorrow. At that moment, Hu Daizhong, his body wrapped in white bandages, stormed forward angrily and roared. Those bastards dared to sully our name. If I find them, I'll chop them to pieces. Suddenly Hu Daizhong coughed up blood, probably because he moved and irritated his wound in his fury. Lei Hong opened his eyes wide in alarm at his beloved comrade's pain. He hurriedly supported him, then turned to Chao Xiaoyang, pleading, "Now that things are clear, can you heal my men? If we wait much longer they'll die." Chao Xiaoyang nodded, but didn't forget to demand payment. "I can, but 10 cores per person. That's a bargain." Lei Hong immediately agreed and handed over a pouch of cores. "No problem, money talks." Chao Xiaoyang cheerfully ordered, "Please step aside, it'll be done shortly." On his beloved cart, several eggs had been smashed, their bright yolks flowing everywhere. Chao Xiaoyang watched the scene in grief, sorrowful as if a treasure was lost. Such delicious eggs ruined. He recalled the heated clash with the Jinglei Legion and sneaked a glance at Lei Hong, grinning foolishly. "That was just a bit of trouble. Should I return the cores to you?" Lei Hong heard this and turned red with anger, roaring, "Are you kidding me?" Chao Xiaoyang rubbed his head and forced a smile, quickly pushing the cart away. "Of course not. I just wanted to lighten the tense mood with a joke." Swallowing his tears, he thought bitterly that even the eggs were gone. How could he make egg biscuits now? Doing good truly brings its own suffering. Not letting his emotions take over, Chao Xiaoyang took out the cookbook he'd just received and began flipping through the pages. His eyes lit up as if he'd struck gold when he found a suitable recipe. First have fun, then save people. He beamed with satisfaction, closed the book. Perfect. The ingredients on hand were only flour, oil, and a bit of seasoning. After thinking hard for a while, he cried out, "Got it!" He ran to the octopus carcass, chose the best chunk of meat, and carried it off. He carefully cut away the membrane and suction tentacles, keeping the clean meat. Then he seasoned it to remove the fishy smell and rinsed it with water. The pristine white flesh gradually appeared and was chopped into small pieces, mixed with flour into a loose batter. He stirred and stirred and stirred until a fragrant pot of octopus batter was made. He poured the mixture in small portions onto a hot pan, sizzling and smoking, flipped until golden, then added tomato and salad sauce. The octopus pancakes were plated attractively like works of art. For the dish's soul, he substituted finely mashed potato. The hot, delicious octopus pancakes came out of the pan. Chao Xiaoyang proudly said, "Done." He brought the food to Lei Hong's men. "Eat this and your bodies will recover." The bald guy and the blonde screamed in horror. "You used a mutated octopus to make food? What are you doing? Telling us to eat this? You must want us dead faster." But Lei Hong, tempted by the aroma, sniffed eagerly and hesitated. "Can this really be eaten?" Chao Xiaoyang shook his head tiredly and explained, "Read any martial arts novels? Where there's venom, there's always an antidote within 5 steps. I already took the cores, no returns. If you want to eat, eat." Hu Daizhong couldn't stand the pain and stepped forward to smell the aroma. "Smells so good. It hurts. I'll take the risk." He put the food in his mouth, thinking that even if he died he'd enjoy the pleasure first. Suddenly, Hu Daizhong's body froze and began to change. He exclaimed in surprise, "This is," then clutched his stomach and coughed violently. His men panicked and shouted, "Daizhong!" Lei Hong warned Chao Xiaoyang anxiously, "What are you doing? If anything happens to my men, I won't forgive you." Before anyone could act, Bok Fai rushed forward to block Lei Hong. He retreated in fear, stammering, Please don't come over here. It's not good." Hu Daizhong covered his mouth, made a few strange groans, then suddenly burst into excitement. "So delicious." He ecstatically described the pillowy, fragrant batter and the chewy, fresh octopus, each chew like sprites dancing on the tongue, flavors as if the living ocean fiercely struck the soul. He raved, "Truly unbelievably tasty." Hu Daizhong's reaction left the bald guy and the blonde bewildered. "Really? This is actually good." Lei Hong and his men immediately rushed to Chao Xiaoyang's cart, jostling to order, "Whatever. I'll eat too. Give me a portion." The tense atmosphere instantly turned lively and everyone got some. They savored the food in ecstatic delight, praises ringing out non-stop. "So delicious. This is bliss." The blonde quickly brought a takoyaki to Ahu. Ahu, you should try this too. Ahu bit down, chewing voraciously as if swallowing the stars from the sky. He shouted, eyes sparkling. The wound's healed. The pain is gone too. It's miraculous. He lifted his shirt to show off his chiseled six-pack. Even his old wound was completely healed. Excited, Ahu ran up and asked Chao Xiaoyang, "Is this also a property of the octopus meat?" Chao Xiaoyang was stunned, unsure how to answer, and forced a smile. "Well, I added a bit of seasoning to yours. Consider it a special gift." But inside he worried, "Oh no, there's a bug here. My current power isn't enough to deal with supernatural abilities. If this group learns about the system, they might capture me and exploit me to death." Chao Xiaoyang was lost in thought and didn't notice the calls around him. Suddenly he flinched and thought, "Have I been discovered?" It turned out Lei Hong had come over and patted his shoulder, eyes full of gratitude. "Didn't expect you humans to be pretty decent." Chao Xiaoyang silently thanked his luck. "This guy is simple-minded and well-built. Easy to fool." He laughed loudly. "So about that cooperation we discussed earlier?" Lei Hong nodded. "I'll consider it," but his men immediately objected, shouting, "Boss, don't listen to him. Right, weren't we injured because of him? He should be the one responsible." Chao Xiaoyang retorted at once, "You robbed my stall. Didn't I have the right to fight back?" Lei Hong's crew burst into laughter as if hearing a joke. The blonde offered a justification both logical and absurd. "We're thieves. Seeing you carry so much food, of course we'd steal it. Some people are just passionate about their work every day. You know?" Ahu added, "It's professional ethics." Lei Hong laughed and nodded in agreement. "Exactly." Chao Xiaoyang pointed at Bok Fai Fai and asked, "What about that girl? Didn't you say you don't rob women and children?" He went over to Bok Fai Fai to lecture her. "She may be a zombie, but she's still a girl. What were you sneaking around planning to do?" Lei Hong's men looked left and right and chorused, "No one did anything. No hands were laid on her." The bald one said awkwardly, "Who told her to be so pretty? We only did it for the boss." Chao Xiaoyang smirked, pleased, "Caught red-handed. What is this? Some weird hobby?" Nai Kam clapped a hand to her mouth in shock. "Even zombies aren't spared. Disgusting." Tu Lak covered Tu Lin's ears. "Don't listen." Hu Daizhong looked at Lei Hong bashfully. "Boss, you?" The men laughed loudly. "I saw you talking privately with someone before." "So it was." Lei Hong turned red and cried indignantly. "How unjust! I'm pure. How can I be blamed?" He shook his head frantically. "It has nothing to do with me." Lei Hong glared angrily at the three clever ones and barked, "What on earth is going on? Tell me." The blonde hesitated and admitted, "You're imagining things. The whole scheme was our own idea. We did it ourselves." Ahu put on a sorrowful face with teary eyes. "Boss blushes at beautiful women and still hasn't had a romance. We wanted to find a pretty zombie for you to interact with. Maybe it would cure your fear of women." The bald one chimed in, "We only meant well." Lei Hong angrily lunged forward and pummeled the three. "Good intentions, my foot. Coming up with this perverse idea. Do you think I'm some kind of pervert?" The blonde wailed, "I told you the boss isn't like that. We almost died unjustly, boss." Suddenly the system popped up. "Mission time has expired. Host, please quickly hire staff to complete the mission." Chao Xiaoyang anxiously looked at the notice. "That fast? Has it been 24 hours already? If hiring the landlady as staff counts, the mission should be complete, right?" The system calmly announced a shocking detail. "Not yet. Hiring staff requires a signed contract between both parties, and the employee must wear a special uniform to be valid." Chao Xiaoyang jumped up. Staff uniform? He imagined 7,747 different uniforms. Sexy maid, alluring doctor, or a cute bunny. His nose nearly bled from excitement as he thought, "The system has those too." As if reading his mind, the system shot back, "Host, please don't imagine nonsense. We are a serious system and do not issue clothes like that." Chao Xiaoyang grinned wickedly and turned away. The maid uniform that appeared was completely modest, far from his imagination. A flock of crows flew overhead. He muttered, Just a plain model like this. My hopes were for nothing. He handed the uniform to Nai Cam with a pitiful face. Forgot to mention earlier, store staff need clean, neat, easily identifiable attire. So uniforms are necessary. These 3 sets are for you. Nai Cam and Tulak looked at the outfits with distorted faces. Tulak complained, "Even kids like us have to wear them? Seriously, what a hassle." But Tulin happily admired the new dress. "So excited? It's new," Chao Xiaoyang reminded them. "Everyone's got new clothes. Change into them now." In broad daylight, Nai Cam casually lifted her shirt to change. Chao Xiaoyang hurriedly stopped her, pointing to a hidden corner and saying seriously, "No need to rush. There are a lot of people here. You can change inside." Lei Hong's men shook their heads, swallowed, and chorused, "No need to pay attention to those details." Nai Cam ignored them and put on the white shirt. But because of her prominent physique, she struggled and complained, "This is too tight. Do you have a larger size?" Seeing this, Lei Hong couldn't react in time. His nose bled and he fainted. His men panicked and shouted, "Boss!" The boss fainted. Chao Xiaoyang angrily rushed over, "Cover Nai Cam," then barked, "Behave yourselves." He closed his eyes, when suddenly something soft fell on his head. He looked up and saw something as soft as a steamed bun. He picked it up curiously. "What's this?" Then he looked up at Nai Cam and froze. "Good heavens! This body!" he yelled. "Are you teasing me?" Surprise, it's his teammate. Nai Cam had removed all her outerwear and smiled at Chao Xiaoyang. He was terrified, limbs going limp, stammering, You look like you fell from the clouds. Man, why are you dressed like this, causing such misunderstandings?" Nai Cam laughed heartily and cheerfully replied, "I never said I was a woman, so why be surprised?" The blonde gaped in astonishment. Could it be a ruse to lure enemies by pretending frailty? Ahu excitedly praised, "Brilliant." Nai Cam bashfully rubbed her head and said proudly, "No, it's just a personal preference." Tulak wasn't too surprised and whispered to Tulin, "The boss calls this boss's feminine wear." Tulin nodded. "The boss loves pretty dresses. Lots of them, but unfortunately can't wear them out."
Cao xe liang cry in wali, cu sơ you, ngai cam, you đi set full roger.
My dream of attractive female staff in sexy uniforms and office romance has gone up in smoke. Nai Cam immediately understood and scolded, "You're such a lecher." Just then the system suddenly announced a countdown. "Host, please quickly complete the mission. Do you confirm hiring the other party?" Chao Xiaoyang perked up and asked excitedly, "Do I even have any other choice?" After a moment, he looked at the employment contract prepared for Nai Cam and reluctantly signed to confirm, his face contorted. Bok Fai Fai stood nearby happily watching him, then handed the contract to Nai Cam. "Please sign right here." Chao Xiaoyang nearly dropped the paper, torn, and turned his face away. Nai Cam glared at him in disgust. "What kind of face is that? If it weren't for the food, who would want to work for you?" Chao Xiaoyang looked at the contract and thought bitterly. The system is forcing me. Others get harem beauties and ascend to greatness, while I have to raise kids with a man. Nai Cam quickly grabbed a pen to sign, but at that moment Bok Fai Fai darted over like the wind, bit down on the contract and sprinted away. Chao Xiaoyang and Nai Cam stared after her in a daze. He shouted, "No way!" Although both were stunned, Bok Fai Fai still clamped the paper in her mouth and ran off. Chao Xiaoyang had no choice but to chase her, trying to pull the contract from her mouth, yelling, "Don't eat that!" The employment contract was now full of bite marks.
Bạch phi phi stúc bi, biu biu.
The system suddenly confirmed. Contract completed. A surge of divine aura rolled over Bok Fai Fai. Her eyes shone brightly, radiating a strange power. In an instant she transformed into a beautiful maid, splendid as if stepped out of a painting.
Cao xe liang stúc froren, helper lamenting, oh heaven.
He shouted, his voice booming, "I don't want to work with a zombie." Sometime later, Nai Cam still harbored the old grievance and scolded Chao Xiaoyang. "Blind much? You passed over someone beautiful like me to hire a zombie." Nai Cam proudly set a condition. "But because of the contract compensation, I won't hold it against you." Chao Xiaoyang smiled outwardly, but inside he felt shattered. The contract isn't even signed. Where would the penalty money come from? You're forcing me. If you don't compensate, you'll wreck my cart. He looked at the ruined house and sighed. This place is unlivable. What do you plan to do from now on? Nai Cam replied cheerfully. I talked to people in the Jinglei Corps. They're willing to take us along. Chu Lak and Chu Lin hugged their small pillows, beaming. Chu Lak grinned at Chao Xiaoyang. Lei Hong said he'll teach me fighting and cell guns, so I can protect the boss and my sister. Chao Xiaoyang chuckled. That's good. He thought to himself that although they were robbers, they weren't bad people. With them guarding, the two children would be safer. Xiao Ling ran over and gently tugged his shirt, handing back a card with Bai Pai Pai's photo. Sir, this was dropped by that sister when she changed clothes. Chao Xiaoyang looked at the card and recognized the ID number and name. So her name was Bai Pai Pai, an employee ID. He couldn't take his eyes off the card. Loi Hong gave Chao Xiaoyang a map and said sincerely, Kid, this is where we're temporarily stationed. We won't be moving. If you run into trouble, come find me. Chao Xiaoyang looked at the map, surprised. Lin Guqing Mountain. The law is vast. The heavens are wide. No one can escape. He shook his head in admiration. You people sure picked a good spot. Loi Hong laughed and patted his shoulder. What about the prison? Nobody wanted to go in before. Now there's no place safer. Mr. Cam excitedly ran over and hugged Loi Hong. Exactly. Big brother Loi, you're truly clever. Can you give me a private room later? Loi Hong's fear of women flared up. At the sight of Mr. Cam, he bolted away. Stay away from me, he shouted. Someone find him some men's clothes. Mr. Cam shook his head. I won't. Dress is freedom. Got it? I only like wearing women's clothes. Finally, the group piled into vehicles and left. Xiao Ling and Xiao Lu looked at Chao Xiaoyang and waved. Sir, goodbye. The Lightning Brigade waved enthusiastically. Kid, don't let the zombies eat you. We'll come visit you again. Chao Xiaoyang felt warmed and waved back with a smile to see them off. He looked at Bai Pai Pai's staff card and breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't know what the future held. But you never know until you try. He turned to Bai Pai Pai. I hope you'll take good care of them in the future. But then he froze. Huh? Where did she go? Bai Pai Pai had just been here but had vanished. Looking around, he found her climbing onto her beloved cart, gnawing on something. Chao Xiaoyang shouted angrily, Don't eat that! The sound of gnawing mixed with his curses echoed through the deserted city. Bai Pai Pai, as if itchy-toothed, bit down hard on the cart's handle. Chao Xiaoyang ran over in a rage and pulled her away. I told you that's not food. Spit it out. But Bai Pai Pai stubbornly growled and clamped her teeth on the handle. Chao Xiaoyang gave a strong tug, and the handle came off in his hand, causing the cart to collapse into pieces. He stared in horror at the wreckage, unable to believe his eyes, and shouted, Oh my God! Bai Pai Pai sat like a little kitten, obediently chewing the handle and looking at him innocently. Chao Xiaoyang suddenly recalled, Wait, no one used the elasticity feature. How did a few bites break it? He urgently contacted the system. Second brother, I suspect this cart is defective. Request a replacement. The system replied immediately, Account holder, don't worry. I'll ask my superiors. But then it regretfully announced, Request denied. Chao Xiaoyang fumed. On what grounds? The system explained. According to the item's description, the elasticity feature only protects staff and property from external attacks. It does not work on people inside the shop. Bai Pai Pai is staff, so damage caused by her is the account holder's responsibility. Chao Xiaoyang roared. Why wasn't that told earlier for something so important? He looked at Bai Pai Pai and sighed. If I'd known, I'd sooner choose expensive jewelry than this husky disguised as a person. Heartbroken, he sat down staring at the pile of cart wreckage, lamenting, Oh no! How am I supposed to fix this? The system appeared and comforted him. Account holder, don't worry. You're only 100 points short of upgrading the shop. Complete the task to upgrade the prop. Chao Xiaoyang hurried. Then what are we waiting for? Give me the task. A ting sounded as the system announced a new mission. Collect 500 gene of edible meat within 24 hours. Completion will grant a reward. Chao Xiaoyang pondered. 500 gene. In the apocalypse, even 5 gene of fresh meat is hard to find, let alone 500. Then his eyes lit up and he slapped his hand excitedly. Perfect! He recalled a large chicken farm nearby. He flipped through his cookbook, studying. Among mutated beasts, mutated chickens have low combat ability. The virus concentrates in the brain, organs, fat, and feet. Remove those parts, and the breast and thigh meat are very fresh and delicious, rich in protein, suitable for replenishing stamina. He exclaimed eagerly. Then the chicks in the coop are coming with me. But a mutated rooster suddenly switched to combat mode, its eyes blazing red, its crow piercing. Chao Xiaoyang hid behind a rock, thinking. Mutated chickens are just bigger and generally not different from normal chickens. The problem is their numbers. He'd have to separate and deal with them one by one. He looked at Bai Pai Pai. Time to use you. Chao Xiaoyang made a plan and pantomimed thousands of moves for Bai Pai Pai to understand. He asked, "Does she understand?" Bai Pai Pai nodded cheerfully. He ran into the middle of the flock and ordered, "Little Bai, act!" Bai Pai Pai took the order and charged out with the wooden plank, but forgot the plan and ran straight toward him. Chao Xiaoyang yelled, "Not that way! This way! This isn't a game!" The flock detected something wrong. All turned, their eyes blazing with murderous intent as they lunged at Bai Pai Pai. Terrified, she bit the plank hard, jumped onto the loft, and looked down at the furious chickens.
Cao Xiaoliang Stipek Buck.
Panicking, "We're doomed!" He ran for his life. The supersized rooster chased after him, targeting him like prey, pecking repeatedly. He screamed, "Oh my God! Somebody help me!" The sharp beak clamped into his butt. He ran and yelled, "This beak is so sharp!" The rooster quickly caught up. Ahead was a sturdy fence. There was no escape. Chao Xiaoyang summoned all his strength and sprinted to the fence, joyfully discovering a hole someone had dug. "I'm alive!" He lunged through the hole and escaped safely. Chao Xiaoyang sat panting in the pit, his heart racing. The roosters rushed over like a pack of crazed zombies, ferociously clawing at the iron fence. They snarled at him, eyes full of hatred, frantically digging at the ground. Chao Xiaoliang held his breath and waited, exhaustedly leaning back, thinking silently that luckily there was this hole, otherwise he'd have been cut to death. Suddenly, a slimy liquid stuck to his hand. He was puzzled. "What is this? It's so slimy and sticky." Looking up, he froze when he saw eggshells scattered everywhere. Chao Xiaoliang wondered, "Why are there so many eggshells?" Then he trembled as he realized the problem. "Oh no! This is a brooding hen's nest." A shadow loomed over the pit like a spotlight. Chao Xiaoliang swallowed, trembling as he looked up. An enormous hen stood above him, its eyes glowing blood red, plunging down like an arrow. He was terrified, his soul flying, and he hurriedly scrambled out of the nest. Oh my God! The mutated hen had matured. The chase resumed. Chao Xiaoliang ran like the wind, screaming as he ran. "I fell into a brooding hen's nest. My luck is terrible. Buddha protect me." He ran complaining. "Why isn't the rebound ability working right now?" The hen pecked at him relentlessly. He clutched his butt and ran desperately, wailing. The hen circled and surveyed him, eyes triumphant as if to say, "Are you scared now?" Chao Xiaoliang was driven into a corner, with an old fence behind him. He panted, thinking of the eggshells, certain that the chicks would seek revenge. The hen advanced, its sharp beak aimed straight at him. He bit his lip and yelled, "You rotten hen!" Just as it lunged, Chao Xiaoliang spun to dodge like a yoga master, cursing inwardly. "Where's the treasure? Haven't used it yet." He jumped up and clamped his legs around the hen's neck. "I won't die here. Take a hit from me." Man and hen collided fiercely. Chao Xiaoliang tightened his grip on the hen's neck, grinning smugly. "See how powerful I am?" But the hen lowered its head and opened its eyes angrily. Chao Xiaoliang panicked. Still not dead, it flung him into the air. He screamed, "Oh my God!" Luckily, he fell onto the hen's back. It ran madly, making him nearly vomit. "Oh my God! Save me!" After 7,749 jolts, the hen broke its neck and flung him off with a wing. Chao Xiaoliang quickly grabbed its tail, shouting in fear. Someone sew this head back on. It's terrifying. The scene shifted to a forest, where a military vehicle rolled slowly. From inside the vehicle, a voice called out, Team 3, Team 3. Teams 1 and 2 have arrived at headquarters. What's your situation? A group of soldiers was communicating with the commander. The radio operator replied anxiously, We're on the way back. Barring surprises, we'll arrive today. Everyone cheered. I heard the 2 vehicles are coming back empty-handed? Let them be. We found lots of supplies. Surely they'll be impressed. Another sneered. That's because their captain is a coward. He won't go to distant places. Another person lamented. Sadly, that whole village turned into zombies. No one survived. Either way, returning safely this time is worth celebrating. Suddenly, the vehicle was blocked by a plank of wood. The wheel stuck fast and it stopped. The captain shouted, Something's wrong. The whole group immediately climbed down from the vehicle and, upon inspection, discovered the tire had been punctured. The bearded man checked and said worriedly, Turns out the tire blew out. The blonde subordinate breathed a sigh of relief. Captain, you worried too much. We've driven this road many times. If there were zombies, we'd have encountered them long ago. The young man at the front hurriedly warned. Better to be careful. Mutations are increasing now. In an area this big, we can't be complacent. Guoming and Guzhan quickly changed the tire, while the others kept watch warily. Guoming muttered as he worked. On a main road like this, there shouldn't be so many zombies. The blonde nodded. Right, if there were. 1 bullet from me would take them down. Smack! A thwack rang out. Uncle Chu stepped forward and tapped both of them on the head. Cut the nonsense. Think a few missions make zombies easy to deal with. Guoming and Guzhan grinned sheepishly. Sorry, Uncle Chu. We were wrong. Uncle Chu sighed, drew on his cigarette, then said seriously, Of all the teams, our Team 3 has the highest success rate and the lowest losses. Do you know why? Guoming and Guzhan shook their heads. Uncle Chu beamed. Because Captain Hua is experienced and cautious. If guys like you were on another team, you'd have died who knows how many times. Joining our team is a blessing from your ancestors. Guoming and Guzhan quickly nodded flatteringly. Captain Hua really is formidable. We're so lucky. The blonde scratched his head. Uncle Chu, I'm gonna fetch some water. Uncle Chu snapped irritably. What a bother, hurry up. The blonde dashed off. Suddenly, the surrounding grass rustled, as if something had just brushed through. Hua Qizhi immediately became alert, gripping his gun. Did anyone hear that? 2 shook their heads. The blonde, having finished relieving himself, muttered as he walked back. So relaxed. Hidden just behind the grass, a giant serpent crouched, its hungry eyes watching him. He vaguely sensed danger, turned to look in all directions but saw nothing, then relaxed and turned back. Suddenly the fierce serpent lunged down from the treetop. The blonde stared up in horror at the colossal monster opening its jaws as Guzhan crouched in fear. Luckily a bullet struck the serpent's eye in time, and it writhed in pain and slithered away. Hua Qizhi kept firing and ordered everyone, any mutated creature, get back to the vehicle now. He asked Guzhan if the tire had been changed yet. Uncle Chu anxiously finished his report. The group wondered why such a mutated snake here made no sound and was so hard to detect. Guzhan bowed his head and apologized to the captain. It was my negligence. Hua Qizhi urged urgently. Don't say more. The shot just now didn't cause a serious wound. It'll come back. Get on the vehicle now. The vehicle immediately roared off at full speed, but the serpent reappeared, crawling after them. It slipped under the vehicle, easily tossing the vehicle into the air like a toy. The vehicle fell in free fall. The serpent lunged up, coiling tightly as if to crush it. Inside, Chu, Guzhan and their teammates flipped and hung suspended as the space shook violently. Hua Qizhi ordered that it was trying to constrict the vehicle and shouted to get out quickly. Guoming and the others tried to force the emergency exit, but the door was jammed and wouldn't open. They panicked. Captain, what do we do? Hua Qizhi, observing from above, shouted to find a way to break the window. He planned to shoot the monster, but Uncle Chu fearfully forbade it, saying the fuel tank might be punctured and the shot would cause an explosion. Guoming cried despairingly, Are we really going to die here? Suddenly a strange figure rushed in. Guzhan cried out, Everyone look. Something's coming from over there. A giant bird spread its wings and flew through the air. Guoming, terrified and dizzy, pounded the vehicle window and cried out, thinking they were surely doomed. Yet he saw what looked like an angel. Uncle Chu barked, "What nonsense! That's clearly a chicken." Huo Qizhi watched skeptically. How could a chicken be so huge? He looked again in astonishment. That's not a person. Chao Shao Liang clung to the giant hen. His tear-streaked face screamed, "Damn it! How do I make this thing stop?" Inside the vehicle, two men panicked. The pink-haired one pressed his hands to the glass, curious who could control a mutated creature. The other asked, "Is it a psychic power?" The blonde with the scarred eye shook his head. "No, it seems he's the one." At this moment Chao Shao Liang still clung on, tears streaming. Suddenly another giant creature appeared. Eyes glowing red, sharp teeth and a long tongue hanging down, looking extremely dangerous. It charged at the struggling mutant hen, trying to toss him off. The hen turned and growled, irritated because Chao Shao Liang was clinging on. It opened its beak as if to peck him. He shouted at it, "You only had your eggs smashed. What's the big deal? Do you really think I wouldn't dare kill a chicken?" Saying that, he leapt up and clamped his arms around the hen's neck, firmly declaring, "Let me show you the professional qualities of a chef." He squeezed hard. The sound of bones snapping rang out and the hen collapsed. But at that moment a scaly, snake-like creature lunged in. It bit into the hen, blood spraying everywhere. Chao Shao Liang, unaware he was in danger, sighed in relief, thinking it was finally over. He sat on the hen and looked around, wondering why he was still hanging in the air. Realizing he was on the serpent's back, he mistook it for a utility pole and muttered, "Stuck on a pole." He sprang down and embraced the creature, absent-mindedly poking and prodding it, surprised as it writhed and moved. The serpent bent down and looked at him with hungry eyes. Chao Shao Liang was struck dumb, as if hit by lightning under a clear sky. A mutated serpent. He jumped out and shouted, "Big bro, snake. It's eaten that huge chicken. It must be full now, so don't eat me, okay?" The serpent quickly swallowed the chicken into its belly. After savoring it, the serpent looked ecstatic, sticking out its long, bloodied tongue in satisfaction. Chao Shao Liang saw it enjoying the meal and quietly tried to sneak away. But immediately the serpent coldly bent down and blocked his path right in front of him. Chao Shao Liang fell silent, at a loss for words. Then he turned and ran for his life, cursing as he ran, complaining why nothing goes right today. What kind of day is this? The serpent whipped its tail and slammed Ho Guaji's group's vehicle into the air. The vehicle fell from a height, making a loud crash. Inside, everyone cheered. The guy with the backward cap shouted, "We're saved." The middle-aged man nodded. "Truly heaven favors us." The driver reported that the engine still started. "Great. Get out of here fast." But the blonde with the eye scar objected. "No." Others spoke up at once. "We can't stay. If the serpent returns, this vehicle won't survive a second attack." The pink-haired man added, "Right, Captain. We still have a lot of food. If it's lost, we'll be punished." Huo Qizhi was resolute. "That man lured the mutated snake away for us. If we abandon him now and run, what kind of soldiers are we?" Those in the vehicle fell silent, pondering Huo Qizhi's words. Someone spoke up, "Captain's right. Food isn't worth more than a life. Even if he's a rookie, we've had professional training. Are we really going to flee in a crisis?" The driver stomped the accelerator. He turned the wheel with determination. "Stay strong, kid. We're coming." The vehicle swung back. The whole team shouted in unison, "At worst, we'll risk our lives for him." At the chicken farm, Bai Fei Fei leapt down from somewhere and landed as lightly as a falling leaf. She looked around, searching for something. Suddenly 3 aggressive chickens charged at her. Bai Fei Fei thought that if she defeated them, Chao Shao Liang would be delighted. She clapped excitedly. "Oh!" She grabbed the fence tightly and lifted it up. She jumped high. Using the fence, she corralled the chickens in an instant. In the dense forest, the mutated serpent was still crazily pursuing Chao Shao Liang. He ran for his life, shouting, "Second bro, come save me." The system's host tracking flight mode. "I want to help, but the function's blocked. Props can't be used." "I'm helpless too," came the reply. While they were talking, the serpent caught up and blocked his path, baring its teeth. It immediately coiled its tail around Chao Xiaoliang, making him miserable. It opened its mouth and exhaled a hazy breath that reeked horribly. He sniffed, his head spinning, muttering, "This smell is awful. Better to faint than suffer." As the serpent's mouth drew nearer, the stench intensified, making his heart skip a beat. He closed his eyes, thinking, "This is it. I'm about to die." Suddenly a piercing cluck rang out. He yelled in anger, "Why the hell is this damn chicken back? It's so noisy it could burst my eardrums." Bai Fei Fei appeared carrying a giant flock of chickens wrapped in the fence. She leapt up high and landed right on the head of the mutated serpent. The serpent lost control, toppled backward, and the flock of chickens flew to one side, collapsed, its eyes rolling, motionless. Chao Xiaoliang rejoiced as if plum blossoms were blooming around him and called out loudly, "Little Bai!" He grabbed her shoulder, overjoyed. "You arrived just in time. I almost passed out from that smell." He continued seriously, "But later you must learn to tell work from play. What happened today can't happen again." The system displayed, "Congratulations, host. You completed the snack stall mission and leveled up." A blinding light flashed, forcing both to shield their eyes. The reward was a large, fully equipped vehicle that appeared before them. Chao Xiaoliang and Bai Fei Fei were astonished. He was as happy as if he'd found gold. It was a mobile home. He inspected it, marveling at the neat arrangement. Advanced equipment, a gleaming, high-end toilet. He took Bai Fei Fei's hand, raised it and jumped up. "Second bro, you're finally generous. Turning a birdshot into a cannon. No more roughing it." The system replied, "I was already generous." It continued, "Previously, completing hired missions also granted special rewards." A skill card appeared that would noticeably boost combat power for 3 minutes and open the primary weapons cache. Chao Xiaoliang tapped curiously on the weapons cache to see what was inside. The system displayed 3 chef items, Jiao Tais and Dao Muoi Thung. He was surprised. "How can I use these?" "Cook zombies." The system explained, "Don't underestimate them. They come with skills and upgrade with the host's abilities. Everyone praises them." He cracked his knuckles happily. "Really? I can't wait. Let's try them now." In the dense jungle, Chao Xiaoliang grinned oddly at the mutated serpent eating his chicken. "I'll use you to clean my knife." The system warned, "Host, don't laugh like that, pervert." He snapped, "Shut up with the nonsense." Then turned to Bai Fei Fei. "Little Bai, want to play a game?" He brandished the knife at the serpent, shouting, "This time I'll let you have your fill. Look at my knife. These sharp slashes will carve the snake." He hacked while chanting Tao Ding's snake cut. Fun can Thak Gu technique final strike. Bone and flesh separation. Snake meat fell in neat, even pieces. Bai Fei Fei leapt up and gently caught them, showing a blank expression. He admired the knife. "It's really easy to use." The system replied, "I didn't lie to you, did I?" The system announced a new mission. Use existing ingredients to make 3 new snack dishes. Find customers to try them and receive 100 5-star reviews with no time limit. But any bad review will wipe the host's entire score clean. Chao Xiaoliang yelled, "What? Wipe it clean? All my work these past days would be for nothing." He argued, "The system is petty. Everyone has different tastes. Even I'm the world's top chef and can't please everyone." The system laughed. "Don't worry, host. The challenge is big and the reward high." It whispered secretly, "If you complete this mission, there's an unexpected extra reward." Chao Xiaoliang suspected, "I doubt you. Empty promises without proof." He propped his chin on his hand, thinking, "No time limit is good. So many survivors in the apocalypse. Can't find enough in a day or 2. Might as well rest a bit." The system startled and shouted, "Owner, you must try hard. Slacking gets you nowhere." He replied, "What do you know? A grandmaster named Lu once said rest is to work better." The system muttered, "Remind me, I never said that." Chao Xiaoliang put his hands on his hips, admired the mobile home and exclaimed, "Honestly, this rig looks high-end. Wonder what its features are." He looked helplessly at Bai Fei Fei and added, "Mainly I'm worried if it can hold up. If the previous vehicle fell apart from a small bump, I can't handle that." Saying that, he still climbed into the vehicle and called, "Let's go, little Bai. I'll take you for a spin. Bai Fei happily ran up into the vehicle, eyes sparkling. Cut to the military truck roaring down the road. The blonde man asked, "Where did that snake go?" The driver replied, "Straight ahead. There's only one road." Could it have slipped into the forest? The guy with the backward cap pointed and shouted, "Everyone, look!" The group dismounted, guns at the ready, on high alert. Before them lay a huge pile of bones, the blood still wet. One man crouched to inspect. The blood was fresh. Whatever it was had just been eaten. Another guessed, "Could it be that person?" The pink-haired man added, "We're too late." Huo Qizhi observed and shook his head. The leg bones are big and sturdy, but these fragments are even larger. Definitely not human. Someone else spotted more and yelled, "Captain, look here!" Another pile of bones. Everyone stirred. One person judged, "These are mutated snake bones. Those look like bird bones." The bleached remains had not a scrap of flesh left, chilling them all. A man trembled. Whatever did this could devour a giant mutated snake in no time. It's terrifying. A man stroked his chin. "Still, these aren't human bones. Maybe that person isn't dead." Huo Qizhi stared at the bones pensively. This scene was surely the trace of a fierce battle. Could one person have escaped? Or were the deaths of those mutated creatures tied to him? Cut to Chao Xiaoliang driving the mobile home. Bai Fei sat beside him in the passenger seat. She happily stuck her head out and whooped in delight. He laughed loudly. This was the college student dream life, and he'd achieved it 20 years early. If there were signal, he'd already have posted the moment. He asked, "How is it, little Bai?" Bai Fei nodded, her eyes shining. Suddenly, he noticed a horde of zombies ahead. He was surprised. Why did they look so familiar? Turned out to be some old acquaintances. He grinned mischievously. "What perfect timing. Help me test the car a bit. You won't hold it against us, right?" He slammed the gas. The vehicle shot forward. It barreled into the zombies, sending them flying like falling leaves. They tumbled beneath, growling in anger as they gave chase. Chao Xiaoliang ordered the system, "Turn off the elastic function. I want to test the vehicle's blast resistance." The system cheerfully replied, "Understood, host." The vehicle sped on and Bai Fei remained exhilarated. He glanced back at the zombies he'd flung aside. The zombies swarmed around the vehicle. They frantically scratched and battered the vehicle. Chao Xiaoliang shouted, "Time to show some real skill." He swung the wheel and the vehicle weaved. Zombies flew off in all directions. Bai Fei laughed brightly. "This is so fun." After dealing with the zombies, he drove off leisurely to pounding music. Inside the vehicle, the lights blazed. The bathroom steamed with hot water and shower foam. Chao Xiaoliang was happily showering, lathering shampoo. He sighed with pleasure. Since the apocalypse, he hadn't had such a comfortable bath. Hot water, shampoo, shower gel, a luxurious feeling. Suddenly, a dark silhouette appeared behind the curtain. He pulled the curtain aside, saw no one, and muttered, "Who?" There was no movement. He closed that side of the curtain and continued bathing. Still uneasy, he couldn't shake the feeling that a pair of eyes were staring at him. The dark shape appeared again. He shouted, "Stop sneaking around." He pulled back the curtain and it was Bai Fei. He panicked, covering himself with a towel, stammering, "Little Bai, when did you get in here?" Bai Fei stepped closer, stuttering, "Eh?" Chao Xiaoliang shouted in alarm, "What are you doing?" "I'm showering, stay back." The system appeared out of nowhere to tease. "Can't you see? She's craving your body." He flinched and yelled at number 2. "Are you a pervert? Spying on me showering?" The system snapped. "Who's spying? I'm working overtime out of responsibility for your body. If you won't praise me, don't spit venom." Bai Fei edged even closer. Chao Xiaoliang blushed, thinking to himself that although little Bai was a zombie, she was born human. He closed his eyes and told himself he'd reluctantly accept it if necessary. Then he waved his hand and shook his head, uneasy. "She's basically a zombie. That's indecent." Bai Fei bared her bright white teeth and bit him. He stumbled back in panic, terrified he'd been bitten and infected. Checking himself, he was surprised to find no blood. Looking closer, holding the foam in his hand, he sighed with relief. The shampoo had covered the bite so she hadn't hit skin. Bai Fei spat foam, then turned to him with a frightening smile. He ran off in haste with Bai Fei Fei chasing. He called the system, "Number 2, what's going on? Why did little Bai suddenly lose control?" The system replied, "Didn't I say she craves your body?" It explained, "A zombie's stomach is never full. It always needs food to silence the hunger. Today she ate, and now with a pile of fresh meat like you in front of her, how could she not lose control?" He shouted back, "You should have said, crave literally." While running he yelled, "Stop chasing. I'm going to get food." A table laden with meat appeared. Bai Fei Fei happily devoured it ravenously. Chow Xiao Liang watched and breathed a sigh of relief. At least it's snake meat. Otherwise he didn't know how he'd fill her up. He propped his chin on his hand, worried. This time was lucky, but if not resolved, little Bai is like a ticking time bomb at his side. What if one day she slept through and got eaten? He asked the system, "Number 2, isn't there a way to keep me safe?" It answered simply, "Feed her before she gets hungry." He sighed and muttered as if to himself. Suddenly his eyes lit up and he slapped his hand. "That's it. Use that." He rummaged through the cabinet, found a set of false teeth and smiled slyly. The next day the mobile home was ready for a new journey. Chow Xiao Liang donned a neat outfit, looking dazzlingly handsome and confident, turning heads everywhere. The vehicle rolled off with a roar. Bai Fei Fei happily checked her reflection, wearing the false teeth. The system admired. "Who knew the dentures would be so useful? Host, you're a genius." He replied, "Just need a clear head. Solutions often outnumber problems." He smiled. "These teeth are the cure for the hopping dead." The system nodded. "Important discovery noted. I'll report to higher-ups." Suddenly Chow Xiao Liang spotted a military vehicle. He stopped, got out and went to inspect it. He opened the door, no one was inside. Looking under the chassis, he was shocked. Why were there so many sharp spikes? Chow Xiao Liang brushed his hands off, glanced at Bai Fei Fei imitating him, and concluded that someone had deliberately set a trap to block this vehicle. A loud commotion in the depths of the forest sent birds fluttering in a panic. Chow Xiao Liang jolted and turned toward the gunshots. Bai Fei Fei behind him unleashed a burst of strength, growling. He raised a hand to soothe her. "Calm down, little Bai." He guessed the shots all came from a single sniper rifle. The two approached the sound with binoculars. Chow Xiao Liang peered through them. They saw a woman fighting. Bai Fei Fei was bewildered and didn't understand. The woman had cold, purple eyes. She picked off zombies without missing a shot. He admired her marksmanship and noted she was a beauty. Pity she couldn't hold out long. He explained the rifle only fired 10 rounds per reload. It's fine for long range, but when enemies close in its weakness shows. He suddenly remembered that in his previous life, that flaw had led to him being eaten by the undead. The girl's ammo dwindled as she kept firing, and the zombies kept surging forward. Chow Xiao Liang hesitated, wondering whether to help. He tapped his head, scolding himself for being so forgetful. Did the sharp letter on his head come with a knife? And Bai Fei Fei, seeing him, mimicked tapping her head too. The ferocious zombies opened their jaws and lolling tongues closed in on the girl. She still fired confidently, but when she pulled the trigger, the gun didn't go off. She startled, her ammo was exhausted. A zombie lunged and nearly bit her. Without hesitation she tossed the rifle aside and drew a short blade from her back. One slash felled the zombie. Chow Xiao Liang gasped, "Wow! Cold weapons are so deadly." She leaped up, cut another zombie down, then spun decisively to take out 2 more. Zombie corpses piled at her feet as she held the blade aloft like a war goddess. Then she walked away. She stepped down into the river. She closed her eyes and took off her outer shirt, revealing a black bra and a seductive, sizzling figure. Chow Xiao Liang's nose started bleeding profusely. He covered his eyes and muttered, "How rude! Don't stare. Don't stare." He thought to himself that if the woman who chopped zombies so fiercely mistook him for a pervert, she'd tear him to pieces. He lowered the binoculars and called, "Come on, little Bai, let's go." But Bai Fei Fei was captivated by a purple butterfly, marveling at it. Accidentally, she bumped her elbow into Chow Xiao Liang. He lost his balance and tumbled over the cliff. She remained blissfully chasing the butterflies. Chow Xiao Liang rolled like a ball down the slope, face first into the ground. His body flipped and slid in agony. Furious, he sprang up and roared, "Little Bai!" Suddenly he felt something strange on his head. What was it? When he pulled it off, he froze. It was a white pair of panties adorned with a tiny purple bow. So cute it made his nose bleed worse. He glanced aside and saw several familiar items of clothing scattered on the green grass. Clearly the woman's. Flustered, Gao Xiaoyang rolled her eyes and looked around, thinking to herself that she'd been right to be afraid. Before the woman could turn back, she ran away first. No sooner had he finished speaking than a cold blade pressed to his throat with a surge of murderous intent. That woman had appeared. Cold eyes said there was still a fish caught in the net here. Gao Xiaoyang's face went ashen. Trembling, he turned to the girl. He quickly raised both hands in surrender and protested, "I'm human. Don't believe me? You can check." But he had forgotten his hand was still gripping a pair of white underwear. The girl trembled with anger, eyes flashing with fury. Realizing his mistake, he hurriedly threw the underwear away and babbled, "Don't misunderstand me. I'm not a bad person. I was just passing by. I haven't seen anything." But his clumsy words only infuriated her more. Men who say they didn't see are the ones who've already seen. Without hesitation, she swung the knife and shouted, "You despicable man, die!" Gao Xiaoyang clutched his head and screamed for help. "Xiao Bai!" From the cliff above, Xiao Bai flipped once and dove down like lightning. She delivered a powerful kick to the other woman's back, but the opponent quickly blocked it with her knife. Gripping the weapon tightly, the girl looked up in surprise. Someone had come to help. The two charged at each other and fought hand to hand fiercely, evenly matched. The girl grew more curious about Xiao Bai. What was her background? Each of her slashes was sharp and precise, but Xiao Bai was no less skilled, evading with agility. Her face remained bright with a smile as if playing, yet she still sought to seize her opponent. Gao Xiaoyang stood aside watching the two sway back and forth. Blood streamed from his nose uncontrollably. The other girl shouted at him, "What are you staring at? Keep looking and I'll gouge out your eyes." Sensible, he hurriedly wiped the blood and muttered that girl's fight viciously. Better to step back for safety. Saying that, he tucked his legs and ran off, shouting back, "Xiao Bai, I'm waiting in the car." To Xiao Bai, the opponent's full, soft breasts looked like two enormous melons. They stirred her desire and gave rise to indecent thoughts. Like a child curious about a new toy, she lunged forward. Startled by the sudden contact, the other girl screamed in panic, "Aren't you a girl? Why are you such a pervert?" At that moment, a bullet suddenly whistled through the air. Both of them quickly broke apart to dodge. A strangely dressed man with his hair slicked up stepped forward, facing the zombies and calmly withdrawing. Indeed, Gu Yu's subordinate, a lecherous lackey with leering eyes who evaluated her figure hungrily, muttering that she really was hot. The girl shot him an irritated glance and bluntly accused him, "Guiqian, why are you here? I was wondering why someone groped me on the road. So it was you. You brought the zombies here on purpose, didn't you?" Guiqian didn't bother to deny it and sneered, "No doubt. When you refused me back then, you probably didn't expect today, did you?" A cold red gleamed in his eyes. "If you had handed the base over to me as I asked, I could have kept you by my side to enjoy a good life. Since you denied me, don't blame me for being ruthless." At Guiqian's command, his men drew numerous guns and pointed them at the girl. "Shoot her," he roared. The girl startled, horror flashing in her eyes as a hail of bullets sliced through the air toward her. With only 2 scraps of cloth covering her, she was forced to fend for herself. The group kept sniping, each bullet aimed precisely at her. But with agile footwork she flipped once, barefoot, and deftly slipped into the dense forest. A garishly made-up girl shouted that she'd escaped, but Hatch Qian remained unfazed, lifting a vicious smile. "There's no path over there. She can't get away." He sneered cunningly, saying that dying like that would actually be a benefit for her. He shouted, "Capture her alive!" And his men immediately scattered, guns at the ready, pursuing his order. Suddenly one of them stopped and reported back, "Boss, there's another woman over here." Little Bai was fumbling, looking around with a dazed expression as if she didn't know where to go. She didn't seem very bright, maybe even mentally off. A hooded thug beside him whispered, "What now? Should we grab her too?" Hatch Qian showed no mercy, eyes cold. "We have so many brothers, of course we'll share the spoils. Wait a bit. After I have my fun, I'll reward you. His men immediately hooped and cheered. Thank you, boss. Long live the boss. Now 3 of his men surrounded little Bai, eyes leering as they closed in on her pretty face. She remained innocent, not understanding what was happening. The 2 grew even more depraved, grinning lecherously. Her appearance was exactly the kind they liked. One crept up behind little Bai, cooing, "Don't be afraid, beautiful. Big brother will love you and treat you well." The moment his hand touched little Bai, she smoothly turned. She snapped his wrist decisively. The unlucky man screamed miserably, "My hand!" and tumbled backward. The other 2 immediately drew their guns, shouting, "Bitch! You dare lay a hand on us? Don't you value your life?" At that moment the screeching of tires rang out. A truck barreled in, its front smashing into the 2 men with a devastating hit, sending both bodies and their guns flying. Chow Xiao Liang stuck his hand out the window and flipped them off defiantly, yelling, "You bastards dared touch little Bai. Now you're the ones who'll die." Little Bai saw him and a radiant smile spread across her face. She hopped onto the truck roof, holding a strange object in her hand. Chow Xiaoliang, unaware at first, looked up and asked, "Little Bai, are you okay?" She hung upside down and waved it around, prompting him to shout, "Where did you get that severed hand? Throw it away now." Deep in the forest, leaves rustled, signaling someone's movement. The earlier girl broke into a cold sweat, still forcing herself along the path. But as Hatch Qian had said, the path ended in a yawning abyss that couldn't be crossed. The girl whispered, trembling, "Oh no, this is a death trap." Hatch Qian and his men had caught up and closed in behind her, roaring triumphantly, "Don't bother resisting. There's no escape." A woman brandishing a weapon swung hard at her, forcing her to fight back. With one hand, the opponent deftly swept her leg, sending her sprawling to the ground. A cold gun barrel pressed against the beautiful face that was now utterly defenseless. Hatch Qian grinned, sneering, "See? Women are useless." Hesitating and fearful over a scrap of fabric, the girl ground her teeth and shouted angrily, "You really are despicable." Hatch Qian smirked wider, arrogantly. "I've been vile for more than a day. What, you only notice now?" He grabbed her hair roughly and yanked. "What I hate most is your sanctimonious, untouchable attitude," he whispered in her ear in a chillingly perverse tone. "Today I'll show you what true humiliation is." With one hand still gripping her, he directed her toward his groin. "I'll enjoy myself first, then tie you to the truck's hood and take you back to base so those men can see how lewd their goddess really is." The girl grimaced, fury blazing in her eyes. What a bastard. At that moment Chow Xiaoliang's truck suddenly careened up, looming before them. Little Bai leapt down from the truck roof. Like a whirlwind she slammed into Hatch Qian, knocking him rolling to the ground. By habit she grabbed him and tore his clothes off mercilessly. Hatch Qian panicked and screamed, "Where did this crazy woman come from? Help me!" The 2 girls gaped in shock, shouting, "Boss!" The massive truck slid across and blocked their path. Chow Xiaoliang expertly spun the wheel, the tires screeching as he swung the truck around to reach the girl. The truck door slowly opened to reveal her still dazed. He sat in the driver's seat, pointed inside, and tersely said, "Get in." Startled, the girl blurted reflexively, "Huh? Okay." Before leaving she quickly snatched up the gun from the ground. Hatch Qian was still pinned flat by little Bai, leaving her free to act. She looked at him coldly and said, "You want to be comfortable? I'll oblige." A shot rang out from the gun. It was aimed low, as close to him as possible to make him comfortable. The bullet flew off and only struck the dirt, but it was enough to scare Hatch Qian into wetting his pants. She clutched the scrap of fabric to her body and looked at him with contempt. "Men are useless. Afraid over something so small you piss yourself, huh?" With that she turned and climbed into Chow Xiaoliang's truck. He called out loudly, "Little Bai, hurry and get in." Little Bai hopped lightly down onto the truck floor. The truck roared and sped off like an arrow. Hatch Qian snapped out of his shock and yelled, "You little bitch! How dare you mock me? Shoot them!" His men immediately opened fire. Bullets rained toward the grass and trees beside the truck. But though they aimed true, the rounds hit the truck's sturdy shield and bounced back. Light flashed from the shield, blinding them as they clutched their heads in panic. How could the bullets be shot back? In the chaos, the truck broke free and glided smoothly onto a quiet road. From the driver's seat, Chow Xiaoliang called back, "There aren't any girls' clothes on board. There's something in the drawer you can change into. It's a bit torn, but if you don't mind, you can wear it." The girl glanced at the wooden cabinet and replied, "Then I won't be polite." She casually pulled out a dark shirt and murmured, "This should do." Noticing a strange rip on the shirt, she exclaimed, "That tear is really odd." Without hesitation, she tore an additional piece of fabric from the cabinet. She buttoned the shirt carefully, covering parts of her body. Once adjusted, she drew the curtain and stepped out, radiating a scorching, seductive presence. Chow Xiaoliang turned, startled. "Whoa! Wearing a shirt like that, with that figure, you'd tempt someone into sin." She smiled and stepped closer, gratefully saying, "Thanks for the clothes." But suddenly a cold blade pressed against Chow Xiaoliang's neck, draining his face of color. The girl whispered threateningly, "If you don't want to die, do as I say. Pull over to the roadside." Before this, she had carefully watched and noticed little Bai was distracted, playing with the pile of fabric and paying no attention to him. She grinned nastily. "If you call out, which is faster, my knife or her?" Chow Xiaoliang gaped, wanting to shout. What is happening? Is there anyone left in this world who isn't warped, whose humanity and morals haven't decayed? He silently begged the system in his head to shoot her out, but the system replied helplessly, "Host, impossible, because the other party was invited into the vehicle by you. The protection program has flagged them as a VIP guest. The safeguards won't harm VIPs." He cried out in despair. "There are rules like this?" The girl in the back, suspicious, asked, "Who are you talking to?" Chow Xiaoliang trembled and hurriedly replied, "No one, miss. Stay calm. Just do as I say." The truck gently veered and pulled over to the shoulder. Driving, Chow Xiaoliang silently sobbed to himself. "Next time I meddle in other people's business, I'll be a dog." The girl, now seated comfortably in the passenger seat with the cold knife still at his throat, said coldly, "Speak. Why did you save me?" Chow Xiaoliang's eyes watered as he answered, "If I said I'm a good person, would you forgive me?" The girl pressed the blade closer, her gaze sharp. "You say it's the end of the world. Kill the holy matron first." He panicked and hastily denied it. "A good person? Who's a good person? It's certainly not me." Chow Xiaoliang cleared his throat, regained composure, and explained seriously, "All right. Actually, I'm an apocalyptic cook. I saw you're so skilled in fighting, so you must have many nuclei. I want you to become my client." The girl blinked and muttered, "An apocalyptic cook?" Then she gradually realized and glanced at the back of the truck. There was a makeshift kitchen arranged back there with plenty of cooking tools. She nodded. This timing was good. The previous cooks had all dropped dead, and conveniently the cook at the base had eaten poisonous mushrooms and died. Rubbing her chin, the girl considered his offer. "If what you say is true, I could consider arranging something for you." Hearing what he wanted, Chow Xiaoliang's eyes lit up. He immediately asked how many people were in her base. Was it 100? The girl smiled proudly and arrogantly. "Who are you underestimating? Our steelworks is the largest base within 100 miles. At least 300 people." He clenched his hands, excitement flooding him. Wonderful. Finding 100 clients so quickly was unexpected. Even if only a third of them rate well, the mission would still be ensured. He began to daydream about grand prospects, smiling with satisfaction. Indeed, good deeds are rewarded. But the girl suddenly grew serious and doubtful. "But this could also protect you. Maybe you stole this truck. On what basis can I trust you?" Just then her stomach growled from hunger. She blushed awkwardly and blurted, "Unless you cook a proper dish, if it's good, then it will prove you're really a cook." Chow Xiaoliang saw her and immediately recognized the emotion she was hiding. This woman was clearly hungry but trying to keep her dignity. He nodded, rolled up his sleeves fiercely. "All right, I'll show you a bit of my skill." The girl was seated in the waiting area. While he eagerly entered the kitchen to demonstrate, Chow Xiaoliang scanned recipes on the screen for reference but scratched his head in embarrassment. Wanting to develop a new dish, none of the menu items fit. Worried, he muttered that he'd already made egg pancake balls and octopus balls. Those dishes were done already. Chow Xiaoliang, flustered about his plan. Told himself he's just an ordinary student who only knows a few dishes. Not really a talented chef. Suddenly a shadow darted up behind him as fast as lightning. Startled, he yelped and swung the kitchen knife up, shouting, "Oh my God! A mutated snake! How did it get in?" But then Little Bai appeared from the snake's skin and deliberately gave him a little fright. Chow Shao Liang stared at the skin and suddenly remembered, "Ah, right, earlier I saw Little Bai's pants were torn. So I conveniently found a scrap of cloth to wrap her up. It turned out to be that snake's skin." She seemed very delighted, playing with the hide. He sat down, gently stroked her head, and said softly, "Sorry, I forgot. I remember there's a needle and thread in the drawer. Let me help you mend it." Outside, the other girl gradually lost patience and muttered in anger, "A chef taking this long to make food? Customers are nearly starving." She suspected he was a fraud. She quickly walked down the steps, determined to find Chow Xiaoliang and settle the score. Meanwhile, he was meticulously threading the needle, skillfully preparing to sew. The thin thread slipped through the eye of the needle deftly in his hands. Before long, he finished the little boots for Little Bai. "All right, put the boots on," he said, helping her. Little Bai looked at her feet with interest, kicked them a few times, and happily exclaimed, "No more problems now." The other girl's voice suddenly rang out in surprise. "I didn't realize you could mend clothes." Chow Xiaoliang smiled brightly and waved modestly. "It's nothing. When I was little, my father was too busy to take care of my mother, so my grandmother raised me in the countryside. I watched and learned." Remembering those old memories, he smiled happily. If his grandmother were still alive, she'd be over 100 by now. With her fighting spirit, anyone who met her would have bad luck. The girl laughed and nodded in agreement. People often say children raised by grandparents are blessed. Having so many who love you is enviable. Chow Xiaoliang pouted indignantly. "Every time I cause trouble, I have to eat double portions of bamboo shoots with meat. Do you want this blessing?" Unexpectedly, the girl replied frankly with a low, sad voice. "My brother and I are orphans raised in an orphanage. We've never met our parents. If possible, I would really want that." Chow Xiaoliang was stunned, his face frozen in surprise. Then he felt guilty and turned his face away. The girl immediately steered back to the main issue. "Serious? Don't bring up feelings. When will the food be ready?" Chow Xiaoliang hurriedly responded, a bit flustered. "You didn't ask. I was just about to say." The girl suddenly sneezed from the cold. Quickly, he took a warm piece of snake skin and draped it over her. "Here, put this on." Standing, he sincerely advised, "Wearing so little while out there fighting will make you catch a cold." After a bit of small talk, an idea for a dish suddenly flashed through his mind. "I want to make this." Before long, he placed a pot of food on the table. The girl curiously looked at the strange golden dish. "Is this kanji? It doesn't really look like it." Chow Xiaoliang smiled warmly and explained, "This isn't kanji. It's snake soup." The girl jumped and cried out in alarm, "Snake!" She glanced at the snake skin draped over her and suddenly understood, her eyes wary and voice full of caution. "Mutated snake meat? Isn't that contaminated?" she asked. He confidently patted his chest and assured her, "Don't worry. The mutated parts have been removed. It's safe to eat." Even so, she remained full of doubt. Could this really be eaten? Chow Xiaoliang leaned in close, eyes twinkling provocatively. "Well?" Scared. Then he picked up the bowl of soup as if to take it away and teased, "Don't blame me. My cooking skills have been proven. It's just that you're too afraid to try." He called out loudly, "Little Bai, come here. Time to eat." Little Bai was nearby. Seeing the food, she broke into a goofy smile and rushed over. But the other girl suddenly snatched the bowl of soup back, her voice firm. "Who said I'm scared?" Trembling, she took the spoon and scooped a mouthful of soup to her lips. Instantly, her face relaxed into pure satisfaction. The hot snake meat was tender and melted in her mouth. She wrestled with herself. It's just a mutated snake. She wasn't even afraid of live snakes, let alone a dead one. Mustering all her courage, she put the whole spoonful into her mouth, determined not to be looked down on. A jolt like electricity ran through her head, making her startle. The texture was soft and silky, with a sweet burst spreading across her mouth. This flavor was so soft, almost like jelly. She blushed and murmured in delight. Soft, smooth, fresh, and sweet all at once. With just a small bite, the taste flooded her mouth. Her tongue felt wrapped in gentleness, evoking the sensation of relaxing in a warm bath. A happy smile bloomed on her face. She was truly joyful, but suddenly she froze, a flicker of doubt crossing her eyes. Wait, below. Something like a milk bath in her imagination began to stir, as if filled with vigorous life that stimulated her body. Misty white steam curled around, making the space feel mystical as the water warmed. Suddenly an egg, appearing from nowhere, cracked open and countless tiny snake tails shaped like Chow Xiao Liang wriggled out, full of life. The girl recoiled in alarm, but Chow Xiao Liang leaped forward and did something unexpected that left her stunned. Numerous little snakes bearing his likeness all bit into her body at once. Her face flushed as a wondrous sensation arose, tingling, aching, and burning. Each pore seemed unclogged, the chill vanishing, her body melting. She leaned back, gasping, "Don't stop. I can't take it anymore." Back in reality, her legs trembled and the snakeskin cloak slipped off accidentally. She forced herself to stand, panting after the dizzy spell. Chow Xiao Liang stood beside her, worried. "Are you okay? Do you feel any warmer now?" She looked down at her hands in surprise. The chill was completely gone. Though sweat drenched her, she felt not exhausted but full of strength. She sprang up in astonishment. "Is this really snake meat? How can it be so miraculous?" Chow Xiao Liang smiled and explained that snake meat is nourishing. It replenishes qi and blood, strengthens tendons and bones, dispels wind cold, and restores vitality. He produced a small glass jar, excitedly adding that the snake meat was only a supplementary ingredient. The real soul of the dish was this. The girl watched curiously where he was pointing. He sprinkled a few grains onto Little Bai's head, causing her to sneeze. He candidly revealed they were fresh ginger and peppercorns. A big question mark formed in the girl's mind. He cheerfully continued that when he was little, whenever he had a cold, his grandmother forced him to drink a bowl of spicy hot soup. After drinking it, he'd feel better, even more effective than medicine, thanks to the pepper. The girl smiled softly, secretly pleased. She hadn't expected this naive-looking kid to know so much. Chow Xiao Liang took out his tablet and proposed, "So, do you believe I'm a cook now? If you're satisfied, give a good review." The screen displayed 5 rating levels with corresponding stars. The girl decisively tapped to submit, gave him the first 5-star rating. Afterwards, she was more open but still admonished his skills. "I admit it, but being the base's chef isn't that simple. You not only have to know how to cook, you must feed hundreds at once. Consider this just passing the preliminaries. Whether you'll be hired depends on coming with me for further checks." Hearing that, Chow Xiao Liang's anger flared. He muttered, "Really? Finding a cook like they're hiring factory workers. You have to pass prelims and an interview just to eat a meal. It's more exploitative than capitalism." Chow Xiao Liang took a deep breath and told himself to hold back for the mission. He continued driving toward a huge base where buildings and pipes intertwined and connected. Gu Noyet looked through the window and pointed inside. "That's my base." Chow Xiao Liang drove on in awe. "It's really tall." They sped along a highway that had once been the largest steelworks. Concrete and rebar walls stood imposing, a strategic, hard-to-take position. Gu Noyet gazed out thoughtfully and slowly recounted how the survivors had wandered many places before finally finding this spot to settle. Her words sparked Chow Xiao Liang's curiosity. Indeed, it was an excellent refuge. No wonder others kept trying to claim territory from her. Mentioning that made a flash of anger cross Gu Noyet's eyes. That bastard Hatch Kien. At first she pitied him when he was chased by the undead and let him stay, but it turned out he was a despicable scoundrel. She ground her teeth as she recounted the abuses. "Not only did he harass me constantly, he spread rumors that I liked him." Hatch Kien went even further. He secretly brought his men in from outside attempting to seize the whole base. Luckily, the patrol team discovered it in time. She clutched her head and sighed. "I really regret only driving him off instead of killing him then." Suddenly, she drew a dagger and pressed it to Chow Xiao Liang's throat, her voice cold. "A fall can be a lesson. If you dare be like him." He turned pale and hurriedly explained, Don't worry, I don't like the undead and I don't like you. At that moment, the base gates remained shut and silent. Two girls on the wall aimed guns down and shouted, "Stop the vehicle!" Gu Noyet poked her head out of the cab and waved to them. The two girls immediately cheered with joy. "Sister Noyet, open up! Sister Noyet is back." The base gate slowly opened, revealing a built entrance as Chao Xiaoliang's truck rolled in. As Gu Noyet stepped down, people hurried over to ask why she changed vehicles and why they didn't recognize her earlier. One person frowned at her torn clothes, his tone hostile, pointing a gun at Chao Xiaoliang. "What's wrong with your sister's clothes? Is it your fault she looks like that?" He quickly raised his hands to explain. "Food can go bad and be questionable, but don't spread nonsense. If not for me, her clothes would be in worse shape." Gu Noyet quickly pinched Chao Xiaoliang's cheek and snapped, "Shut up." Regaining her composure, she turned to the two girls and explained, "It's not his fault. On the way back we were ambushed by Hatch Kien's men. Although we lost them, we couldn't bring the truck and supplies back." The two girls, furious, exclaimed, "Hatch Kien is that bastard. If Sister Noyet hadn't saved him, the undead would have eaten him long ago." One ground her teeth. "This ungrateful traitor. If I see him, I'll blow his head off." Their attention shifted to Chao Xiaoliang and Little Bai. "Sister Noyet? Who are they?" Gu Noyet smiled and happily introduced them. "These two are the cooks I recently recruited. They've been eating bland crackers every day. Today we're improving meals with something hot." She continued excitedly. "I remember we once caught a wild boar, but after the previous chef died no one knew how to cook it, so it's been left in the storage. Tell old Lu to bring out that pile of meat." She waved for Chao Xiaoliang to come close to stir-fry a few dishes, also to test your skills. He pouted and muttered, "You jump into work without even a sip of water. Your heart is really black." The two girls hesitated, looking uneasy. Old Lu was called away by Anton already. Gu Noyet was surprised when she heard that name, Khotan. The scene shifted to the base's warehouse, where few people passed. A chunk of meat was thrown straight onto the ground with no pity. A girl, disgusted, shouted, "What is this? It's dirty and smells strange. I won't eat it." Khotan stepped forward to soothe her. "Hong Hong, don't be angry. Don't worry. I wouldn't let you eat something like this." Two other young men turned and scolded the middle-aged man. "Old man Lu, are you deaf? Brother Tan said to get the most nutritious food, and you bring out this garbage." Old Lu hurriedly explained, "This isn't garbage. It's wild boar meat with high nutritional value." Khotan, impatient, snapped back, "Stop lying. This is all blackened. What's nutritious about it?" He turned and headed straight for the storeroom. "Can't you understand? Fine. I'll go look myself." Old Lu reached out to block him, voice anxious. "Mr. Ko, don't make things difficult. The storeroom is a critical area of the base. No one may enter without Miss Ko's order." The two young men immediately lunged to hold him back. "Anton is Miss Noyet's brother. How can he be treated like an outsider? And you're just the keykeeper, so don't act like you're in charge." Khotan snapped in anger. "Exactly. My word is my sister's word. Let me in now or you'll regret it." At that moment an angry voice rang out, cold and sharp. "Khotan, what do you think you're doing?" Gu Noyet stepped forward with the two girls, her face stern. Seeing their sister, Khotan froze. Then he hastily put on an expression of extreme joy. "Sister, you're back." But Gu Noyet did not let it pass. She questioned him. "You haven't answered me. Weren't you out looking for supplies? Why are you back at the base now? And what are you doing in the storeroom?" Khotan scratched his chin, avoiding her gaze. "We ran into an unexpected situation, so I came back early." He pointed at old Lu and accused. "Your people told him to open the storeroom for some food, but he brought out trash to trick me. He clearly doesn't respect you." Old Lu hurried to explain. "That's not true. It's Mr. Ko." Gu Noyet raised a hand to signal him to stop. She looked down at the wild boar meat thrown on the ground. Her gaze carried the authority of a leader as she picked it up. She gave a firm order. Khotan stood dumbfounded, not understanding. Gu Noyet glared and repeated, "I told you to pick it up." Seeing he still hesitated, she said sternly, "This wild boar belongs to the base. 3 people were injured, and the most seriously hurt still can't get out of bed. Her sharp words made everyone bow their heads, ashamed. Every grain and drop in the space was brought back at great risk. Who allowed you to waste it? Khotan clenched his hand, face sorrowful, and silently picked up the piece of meat. Chow Xiaoliang stood nearby, observing and mentally assessing this woman. When serious, she indeed radiated the authority of a leader, completely different from her earlier meek demeanor. He glanced at Khotan and murmured, "But her younger brother. The gap between these two is really wide." Hong Hong peeped out from behind Khotan and owned up, "Sister Gu Noyet, sorry. It's my fault. Please don't blame Atan." Gu Noyet's cold eyes immediately turned toward the girl. Hong Hong feigned weakness and hurriedly hid behind Khotan for him to shield her. Gu Noyet frowned and asked, "Who are you?" Then she shouted at her brother, "Who is she?" The girl standing behind Khotan spoke up timidly. Seeing that, Khotan immediately shielded the girl and said, "Hong Hong is timid. Don't scare her." Gu Noyet listened, puzzled. She thought she hadn't done anything to frighten anyone. Seeing her gullible brother, she crossed her arms in resignation and said, "It seems she's exactly the emergency case you brought back early." Khotan replied, "Her name is Don Hong. We ran into her while searching for supplies." The image of Don Hong, terrified and kneeling in a corner with her face covered, appeared in their minds. At that time she had been hiding alone in an empty small supermarket, surrounded by hordes of the undead. Khotan looked at Don Hong sobbing behind him and continued, "When we rescued her, she hadn't eaten for days. She was truly pitiful. That's why I brought her back." Chow Xiaoliang was startled. "She hasn't eaten for days?" Then he jumped up, muttering to himself, "When you're starving, even bran tastes like honey. When you're full, even honey isn't sweet. 5-star rating, the difficulty is almost 0. Customers like this are my favorite." Gu Noyet, furious, shouted, "Don't you know the base's rules? How can you just bring someone of unknown background here?" Khotan refused to back down. "Hong Hong is not someone of unknown background," Khotan hurriedly clarified. "Her father is the richest man in this city and her mother is a famous pianist. She truly is a pampered young lady." Excitedly he appealed to Gu Noyet. "Sister, I know you have psychological ghosts because of Hatch Kien, but Hong Hong is different. She's the purest, kindest girl I've ever met. I couldn't stand by and not save her." Gu Noyet clicked her tongue in displeasure. The two who had been with them earlier also protested. "Tan, how can you say that? Taking in Hatch Kien wasn't solely Gu Noyet's decision. Blame that bastard for acting so well and deceiving everyone. Besides, Hatch Kien is a bad person. Does that automatically make this girl good? Purity and kindness aren't written on someone's face." Khotan's followers stood up to argue. "Don't judge others by your own petty standards. She's a rich young lady. It's already pitiable that she survived the apocalypse. Can't you show a little compassion?" The two girls retorted without holding back. "Does having money mean you're automatically good? Ever heard, wealth without virtue? We just see she's pretty and get infatuated." Even ignoring Gu Noyet's words, Chow Xiaoliang stood to one side with a head full of question marks, wondering what was going on and why everyone was arguing. Then, as if realizing something, he cheerfully exclaimed, "The longer you argue, the hungrier you'll get, which means the mission will be finished sooner." Seeing the argument escalating, Chow Xiaoliang and Little Bai cheered on, "Keep going, don't stop." Khotan snapped in annoyance, "What's all this noise?" Then he looked at the two and asked, "Who are you? I've never seen you before." Gu Noyet helplessly rubbed his head and said, "They're the new cooks I recruited from outside." Hearing his sister's answer hit a sore spot, Khotan shouted, "You won't let me save Hong Hong, but you casually bring people back. Sister, how can you have double standards?" Then, angrily turning, he pointed at Chow Xiaoliang and shouted, "Besides, look at them. What kind of proper cooks are they? They're definitely frauds like Hatch Kien." As soon as he finished, Khotan ordered his men to drive them out. His men moved toward Chow Xiaoliang and the others, yelling, "Did you hear? Get out now." Hearing the bully squad shout, Little Bai immediately lunged in and, with a punch and a kick, took them down. They fell sprawling to the ground, crying out in pain. "Ah, my arm hurts." Seeing Little Bai nimbly defend him, Chow Xiao Liang happily said. Little Bai, let go. How can we afford to lose face in front of our clients? The two of them whispered. If you're going to beat someone, hit the legs. If the arm's broken, how will they eat? Chow Xiao Liang then calmly approached Khotan's two soldiers and said softly, Sorry, my staff can be a bit hot-headed. As compensation, if you dine at my shop, you'll get a free side dish. Please give us a good review. The two soldiers grabbed their shoulders annoyed and said, What? You beat us and still ask for a good review? Are you out of your mind? Don Hong stood behind, smiling wickedly. Khotan, unaware, pulled out a gun and threatened. You still dare lay hands? You really aren't good people. Gu Noyet saw things turning sour and rushed forward, raising her gun toward Chow Xiao Liang and shouting, Khotan, stop! A gunshot rang out. Chow Xiao Liang fell down, and everyone who saw it was terrified. They saw Chow Xiao Liang lying still in the courtyard. Xiao Bai, seeing this, went berserk. He roared and lunged at Khotan, as fast as the wind, kicking the gun from his hand. Startled by the scene, Khotan shouted in panic, Holy hell! What the hell is that? Then a series of rapid punches rained down on Khotan, making him stagger back in pain. Please, stop! Stop! Don't hit me! Xiao Bai growled, then lunged at Khotan and bit down hard on his hand, making him scream in agony. Unable to break free, Khotan turned to the two girls for help. Are you blind? Can't you see I'm being beaten? Shoot her. Kill her. But the two girls remembered his earlier behavior and stood still, doing nothing. Seeing the chaos, Don Hong hurried to the two young men who'd been knocked down by Xiao Bai and begged, You guys, please help him. The two youths replied in panic, No, we can't. The girl fights too well. We're no match. Our hands are already broken. Don Hong, disappointed, clicked her tongue and muttered, Huh, useless. Meanwhile, Xiao Bai, eyes bloodshot, continued crazily biting Khotan's hand. Unable to bear it, Khotan reached toward his sister and pleaded, Sister, save me. This mad woman is trying to bite me to death. But when he saw Gu Noyet ignore his pleas and turn away, Khotan panicked and cried, Ah, sister, don't go. Gu Noyet sadly moved toward Chow Xiao Liang's body, stroking his face, then said mournfully, I'm sorry. If I'd known, I wouldn't have brought you back. I didn't expect it would cost you your life. No sooner had she finished than Chow Xiao Liang suddenly opened his eyes wide and sprang up, making Gu Noyet gasp, My God! Chow Xiao Liang rose and calmly twisted his body to loosen his stiffness. Seeing that, everyone was stunned and astonished. Xiao Bai immediately brightened up and rushed over to him.
Xiao Bai hiu ghét Cao Xiao Liang.
He also patted his head and said, Silly girl, don't worry. Did you think your boss would die that easily? Having said that, Chow Xiao Liang shot a cold glare at Khotan, causing him to panic and stammer, No, this can't be. How could I not be dead? Ignoring Khotan's confusion, Chow Xiao Liang angrily grabbed him by the collar, raised his fist and shouted, You bastard! Fired a shot without saying a word. Then he punched Khotan hard in the face. If I hadn't reacted quickly, this handsome face would have been ruined. A minute before Khotan fired that shot, Chow Xiao Liang had already quickly summoned the system. He used the disguise skill card, and a beam of bright light enveloped him, boosting his speed to superhuman levels. In that life-or-death instant, Chow Xiao Liang miraculously dodged the bullet. So this is what super speed enhancement feels like. Everything around him slowed and stretched. He could clearly predict every movement of others, like an Olympic sprinter racing an old man. Indeed, the sensation was exhilarating. Seeing Chow Xiao Liang pleased with his power, the system taunted, Skill card used, duration 3:38 seconds, remaining time 2 minutes 56.62 seconds. Hearing that, Chow Xiao Liang grumbled, counting fractions too. How stingy. Seeing Chow Xiao Liang suddenly come back to life, Gu Noyet asked suspiciously, Are you really okay? Chow Xiao Liang crossed his arms and explained, My body is fine, but my morale took a hit. I haven't even received my pay and already got shot. I guess I need to rethink whether to stay. Seeing everything, Khotan roared angrily, Sister, we can't let them stay. Can't you see? These two have serious problems. That shot just now, I've clearly hit him. How can they not be suspicious? And that woman, her whole body gives off something strange, her face pale as death, saying nothing and even biting people. They're definitely not normal. Gu Noyet listened, puzzled, and turned to Chao Xiaoliang. Hearing that, Chao Xiaoliang feared and thought, oh no, the two girls are standing behind them as well. Chao Xiaoliang panicked, thinking it's over. I've been exposed. At that moment, all three said in unison, a power user. Chao Xiaoliang clenched his eyes and gritted his teeth, thinking of how to respond. But when he heard the three girls speak, he breathed a relieved sigh and quietly rejoiced inside.